Good afternoon, everyone. Dear participants, we
Good
welcome
afternoon,
you
ma'am.
all in this program.
Yeah, thank you.
Dear participants, if you have joined with some other name, kindly rename yourself by your real name.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening, Narinjit. Can you hear me? Shrutika and others, just see, make Narendrajit also co-host.
Yes, ma'am. Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening, everyone. So, let me just start the important information part and then we will have the session. So, Narendraji, just keep a track when Professor Bakshi joins, just let me know. Yeah. She'll be the first speaker. So, hope my screen is visible to all. Okay, so let me just get started. And here we are on 2nd April 2024, starting the 8th batch from our center. And I welcome each one of you in this NEP orientation and sensitization program. Starting from today, we'll have online sessions till 12th April. And in between, we'll be having some offs due to Saturdays and some other holidays. So I welcome each one of you on behalf of UGC Malviya Mission Teacher Training Center, abbreviated as UGC-MMTTC. We are also known as Guru Angad Dev MMTTC. And formerly, I think most of you are all aware about GAD-TLC. Now we have been renamed as UGC-MMTTC because now some of the programs are fully funded and they are coming under the banner of UGC-MMTTC. And we seek blessings from Guru Angad Dev Ji, the second of the 10 Sikh Gurus, in whose name we have kept our center We started in 2016, and that's how our journey has taken us beyond. I welcome each one of you also on behalf of entire management of Sri Guru Tegh Bahadur Khalsa College, a constituent college of University of Delhi, and I also welcome you on behalf of University of Delhi. And I also welcome you on behalf of this entire national mission being called as Malviya Mission Teacher Training Program, kept in the honor of Bharat Ratna Pandit Madan Mohan Malviya ji, in the visionary leadership of our Prime Minister Modi ji. So I welcome each one of you with a virtual bouquet of flower, and I welcome all the administrators, teachers, research scholars, and other participants from all over India who have joined in this flagship program of Ministry of Education. I welcome on behalf of my entire core team, headed by, we have guidance and leadership provided by Professor Prakash sir, former chairman UGC, Professor A.K. Bakshi sir, who will be taking the first session, founder VC, PDM University, and former VC, UPRTO. We also have Professor Jaswinder Singh, former principal, SGTB Khalsa College, for continuous guidance. And I also welcome you on behalf of Professor Surinder Kaur, who is acting principal, SGTB Khalsa College, University of Delhi, in this very important program, which is the NEP Sensitization and Orientation Program. And I welcome my organizing team, and special thanks to all of them, because it's a continuous program that we are doing, and it is all possible because so many colleagues are forthcoming and helping us in this coordination. And especially Professor Sarita Basi is almost helping me in all these NEP programs. But in this very particular batch, we also have, along with Professor Sarita Basi from Zakir Hussain, we also have Dr. Mamta Srivastav from Sri Tikaram Kanya Mahavidyalaya, Aligarh, Dr. Viniti Gupta from Sri Tikaram Kanya Mahavidyalaya, Aligarh again, and my colleague from Kanya Mahavidyalaya, Jalandhar, Dr. Narendrajit Kaur, who again is a continuous support in so many programs. So thank you so much, and I'm looking forward to your support in the conduct of this program. And I'm your host. I'm heading this center at SCTB Khalsa College, which is a center of UGC and Ministry of Education. And let me also tell you briefly that I'm also the member of expert committee who has formulated the guidelines for all such centers across the country. It's a 4-member committee, and we now have all the guidelines in place, and there'll be so many opportunities for all of you coming from different centers. So keep a watch and don't lose this important changing phase, I will say, when so many policies are changing, and at institution level and as teachers, we have to be upgrading ourselves. So let us join our hands to pray and seek the blessings of the God. So with these words, I wish you all the very best co-learning experience in this program. And let me apprise you about our center briefly, and then about the program as well. UGC Malviya Mission Teacher Training Center, as earlier called as GAD-TLC, has a state-of-art training facilities, and this is situated in my own institution, Sri Guru Tegh Bahadur Khalsa College, and we have the facilities where we train teachers into more into the e-learning pedagogies and the technology skills, along with the various subject-specific integration, research methodology, and others, to say a few. We also have our own studio, and in the EPG Pathshala project through the Center for E-Learning, another center at my college which I am heading, we have prepared more than 89 courses for EPG Pathshala project, and also more than 50 MOOCs for various SWAYAM courses, out of which 42 MOOCs were prepared for these 6 subjects. And myself, I have conceptualized this teacher's e-kit concept, which I'll also be briefing you in my session, so that how you can also be a contributor in not only changing your classroom requirements, but also guiding other teachers into your own area, that how the technology and pedagogy can be integrated for the blended learning model in your subject. Since 2016, we have been conducting various face-to-face programs, and we thought that we are touching so many teachers, but then the change happened when the corona came and we were all confined in our home. We decided we'll go into online trainings, and we were the, again, front runners in order to evolve a quality model for the online programs. And we ourselves, who were promoting and helping teachers into embracing technology, could not realize that the technologies which are existing more than 2 decades, but how they can be positively used for the teachers training. And I'm happy to share, just yesterday, I compiled the statistics till 31st March 2024. I'm happy to share that we have now touched more than 94,000 teachers. And from 2016 to 2020, the number was around 9,000. So you see how the exponential jump has taken place the moment we have online participation coming, and the teachers who are willing to learn. Many times they could not get the opportunity, many times the duty leave was not possible, and the comfortable timing. So you see that even we all are working as participant as well as organizers. So we thought that we'll keep the very comfortable timings for our colleagues, 5 to 8 p.m. And that's why I think that is being appreciated. We are looking for the teachers' need and how positively all these things can be integrated. So happy to share that more than 480 events we have already conducted. Yours is the 481st event which we are conducting. And we also have this mandate of conducting ARPIT courses, which we have done in 18, 19, and 20. And out of 42 such centers, our chemistry course has been rated number 1 in terms of not only the enrollments, but also the quality of the content. And because of this all work which has been done by entire massive team, many senior colleagues as PIs, co-PIs in our centers, and many teachers, more than 2,000 who have contributed into various activities. I'm thankful to all of them. And because of that continued efforts at ground level, GAD-TLC was selected as one of the 45 PMMT centers selected out of 100 such centers, and was awarded Malviya Mission centers to conduct NEP trainings for 15 lakh higher education training, as well as some other programs which I'll be briefing. So if you look at this new scheme, the Ministry of Education has mentioned this in NEP document itself, that the trainings will be taken in a very, very rigorous and massive way. And as a result of which, in order to implement NEP, when they were restructuring all the things, so they sought strengthening of the synergy and integration between HRDCs and PMMT centers. So prior to now, there were 2 such centers, type of centers. One were human resource development centers, which were UGC centers. Many universities have them. There are 67 of them. And prior to them, they were called as academic staff college. So the nomenclature we know has been changing. But now all such centers, so there was parallel, these HRDC center, and from Ministry of Education, like our TLC was there, that was under PMMTT, that is Pandit Madan Mohan Malviya Teachers and Training, Teachers and Teaching Center. So all these centers are now combined, and looking at various parameters, I will not comment on that. Many centers have been recognized. Till date, now there are 116 centers. So 67 plus others. And that number is dynamic. They are keeping on adding, and they'll be removing those who are not doing up to the mark. So all these centers, they are now taken together to meet the objectives of NEP 2020. keeping in view the optimal utilization of infrastructure, human and financial resources, and renaming and popularizing the entire capacity building effort as Malmö Mission Teacher Training Program. So, as I mentioned, now all these centers will be called as Malmö Mission Teacher Training Center, and you should be all aware about this. If we look at what this new phase of the scheme aims to implement, the recommendation of NEP, they are to improve the quality of teaching at all levels and in all domains, to focus on the equity and inclusion in higher education and promote online and digital education, ensure equitable use of technology, promote Indian language and culture, develop basic infrastructure facilities, create awareness about gender sensitization, include vocational education in the curriculum, develop leadership and management skills, and I'm planning one FDP will be dedicated only on academic leadership, create pool of mentors and pedagogic experts, promote research and multidisciplinary education. So in a nutshell, if you look at the vision of this, now the mammoth scheme which Government of India has taken into very seriously every month, every quarterly, the UGC is conducting meetings to keep updates, and every institution being approached that all the teachers must be attending this program so that they have the understanding of entire NEP. So the vision is to build competencies in the faculty for better teaching, learning, and research by exposing them to Indian values, updating knowledge and research, aligning the teaching, learning, and research with the society and with NEP 2020. So this, I think, if you look at the statement, this tells everything that both the teaching, learning, as well as research, and taking the society along, which is again very important in the research component and our responsibility in the classroom. So all this is being done so that we can better equip our students. This scheme was launched on 5th September 2023 by the Honorable Union Minister for Education, Dharmendra Pradhan ji, and this was done at Kaushal Bhavan to launch this particular program. After that, our 4-member committee was formulating these guidelines, and now they are in place. And many centers had already started the program from November, including ours. And from 1st April, now they will be taking it in a very, very massive way. Every year, there are targets which have to be met. So now there are 116 such centers in place, and they have the mandate to conduct NEP orientation and sensitization program of 8 days in 2 weeks, which will be done purely on online. There is no offline version of this. Also for the young entry-level teachers, faculty induction program, which is compulsory, that will be done in online as well as offline mode. And there will be also refresher programs and FTPs. And along with that, workshop, conferences and all that will be there. Coming to this particular NEP program, when it started with 8 themes, but in our committee and as per the input coming from various academicians and ministry, now there are 10 modules, and this very particular program will be giving you an overview. I am repeating, we will just give you an overview. All these are so detailed thing that if we talk about ICT is again, so many technologies are there and you have to keep on learning, and they are changing also. Similarly, if we look for all these things, then detailed programs will be worked out by different centers based on their expertise. So keep a watch on them, introspect yourself that what are the areas where now you want to have more in-depth understanding. Or if you feel that this is the area where you are already expert, then you can also be a resource person or in the organizing team with us. So that's how the scheme is going. So the modules are holistic and multidisciplinary education, Indian knowledge system and multilingualism, academic leadership, governance and management, higher education and society, research and development, skill development, student diversity and inclusive education, information and communication technologies, autonomy and student choice, and curriculum development, teaching, learning, and assessment. So these are the areas which will try to give you awareness, but we will not be able to go into many details because of the time constraint, because there are total of 16 sessions as per the guidelines that we have to conduct. So we will see that which module requires more number of sessions and which will require less, and accordingly we'll be taking you ahead. There will be 2 quizzes at the end of this program, and these 2 quizzes will be covering these two. Please, you can take the screenshot, or I will share this important part also as the PDF in your WhatsApp group. Both these quizzes will be having these 5 modules each. Fine. 1, 2, 3, 4 and module 9 in quiz 1, and 5, 6, 7, 8 and module 10 in the quiz 2. Accordingly, the questions, although both the quizzes will be available on the same day. So what are the other important thing? As I told you, there are 2 quizzes which will be there. Fine. And just 1, 2, 4 and 9, because this was just added recently, and 10. So this is how it goes for the quizzes which will be given. 2 quizzes. They will be based on live session, irrespective of what the entire module is, their title or your understanding, or don't go into the web. Just whatever the speakers are telling, we'll be asking you the questions from that. And there will be 40 questions in each quiz. So collectively, you see there are 80 marks for that. 20 marks will be given to you on basis of attendance and your active participation. I'll request all of you to please keep your videos on and do interact with the speakers whenever the time permits. And what we will do is, there is no need of writing your name in the Zoom chat for attendance. That is not the way that we are taking. We have ample forms and our own mechanism that the Zoom, please log in with your own registered email ID. If you're using something else, my team will give you a form where you can fill up that. And so the whatever email ID you are using to go in the live sessions, then that part will be taken. Along with that, there will be also, just a minute, this part has been, please, there's no need of this. So Zoom and interactions is something that will be taking. There is no recording which will be provided. Yes, I am repeating this. This is as per the UGC guidelines. We will not be giving you any recordings, unlike our other programs, those who are already familiar with. So there is no recording on the live on the LMS. From 5 to 8 p.m. you have to attend. You can attend it from anywhere, and you have to attend preferably with your videos on and be interacting with your speaker. That's how the 20 marks will be assigned. And then the quiz will be strictly based from the live sessions only. So there is no way that you can revisit the live sessions anywhere. It has to be done only in the uh, live session way. And then total, you see there are 100 marks, out of which 50 are the qualifying marks. Now here, there's not to worry, because unlike other certificates for CAS, because this is something which the teachers, those who want to have for promotion, this will be equivalent to 1 week FDP. But then we will not be mentioning the marks here, because the marks for this particular program are not to be mentioned as per the guidelines. And it is also being done so that everyone, even the including seniors and everyone, will be participating in this program. So those who want to take it for their CAS and all, I will be releasing a certificate in general that it is equivalent to 1 week FDP as per whatever circular number of the UGC that we have received. And this, one more important thing, how we will be taking your participation also is that everyone may not be able to interact with the speaker. So we will be giving you day-wise And session-wise, I think it is session-wise. Shrutika, I think you have given me the... So this will be a session-wise feedback. Let me correct it. So session-wise feedback will be there for all the 8 days, and there is a placeholder where you have to write the 3 takeaways. So keep on making proper notes of every session, and you have to also write the 3 takeaways that my team will be analyzing. And after that, you will be also given a overall feedback. So all these feedbacks are also compulsory, and that's how we will have to take the completion of this very particular program. And no certificate will be provided if all the assessment parameters, including your participation, if you have not done attendance or you have only given one quiz and attended, so any permutation combination will not work. All the 3 requirements have to be complied with, and then and only then the completion certificate will be provided. And this is how the format of the completion certificate is there, which will be giving to you. So the UGC and the ministry and this Malvi Mission Teacher Training Program logo along with this title and all. So this is how it will be given. Now, one more disclaimer I want to do before I will request our speakers to be taking the sessions is that is Professor Bakshi joined, Narendrajit? Sir, aa gaye hain kya?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. He
I
has joined.
cannot see his video. Good evening, sir, and welcome, please. Are you with video? And
Yes, I am there.
welcome, sir, please. So before I invite Professor Bakshi, sir, for taking the first session, I want to put a disclaimer here that the copyright of the session is of respective resource persons only, and without a prior written consent of the respective speaker, you should not use or upload or stream his or her content either as full video or screenshots or publish in any other form. So you can take the screenshot for your own reference for maybe studying and all, but please do not upload it anywhere on any social media or otherwise, and that is something which will be not allowed. And I repeat, there will not be any recorded session given to you. So with this, I welcome each one of you once again in this program. And I'm sure that with the help of so many national level resource persons, this program is going to be very, very beneficial to all of you. There's going to be a great learning. I will request Professor A.K. Bakshi sir to be delivering this module on higher education and society. Part 1, the part 2 will be taken today by Professor Prakash sir in the second session. And before I call upon him, I'll like to briefly introduce, although he doesn't need any introduction. Professor A.K. Bakshi sir is, as I told you, founder, Vice Chancellor, PDM University, Bahadurgarh, former Vice Chancellor, UP RTOU, Allahabad, and former Executive Director of Tertiary Education Commission, Mauritius. He has also been Head Department of Chemistry, University of Delhi, Director of CPDHE. CPDHE is the UGC-MMTTC now, so he has a vast expertise in the heading the training centers. He was also Director of Institute of Lifelong Learning of Delhi University, where I had the opportunity to work with him. And we had initiated various e-learning initiative at Delhi University level. And after that, we got the national level projects. I'll also like to mention that he's also a visiting professor at GGS IP University in Delhi. Professor Bakshi has also been the chairman of our center's GAD-TLC and the standing committee of National Mission on Education through ICT. He was also the chairman of the Content Advisory Committee for Chemistry for Sakshat Portal. Sakshat Portal, maybe some of you are not aware, was the very first initiative of providing the digital content to school as well as higher education. A double gold medalist, record breaker, and recipient of several awards and academic honors, Professor Bakshi was felicitated 2 times for his outstanding contribution to education by the former President of India, Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam. Professor Bakshi is the author and co-author of nearly more than 200 research and education articles. one patent, and he has to his credit many books as author, co-author, around 51 ebooks, books, modules for various EPG Pathshala, chemistry courses, and ARPIT programs of Ministry of Education. Professor Bakshi is one of the most sought-after speakers in the country, having delivered more than 400. So I think, sir, this number needs to be revised. It must be 400 in a year, because I've been looking from the last, at least in the Corona phase, you are so active in terms of training these, taking these sessions at national and international platforms. He was also the member of National Writing Team for Chemistry Class 11th and Class 12th books of NCRT. He was also selected as president of the section of Chemical Sciences of Indian Science Congress Association for the year 2011-12. And he has been member of various national level committees at various regulatory bodies as well. Professor Bakshi was also felicitated recently by Union Minister Smriti Zubin Irani for his outstanding contribution as Chairman GAD-TLC in the professional development of teachers of the country. And he is one of the first persons from universities in India to have been selected as member scientist of the third Indian research expedition to Antarctica. I think this is very unique thing, which rarely I'll say members of our community go into this, and this expedition was built, has built India's permanent base, Dakshin Gangotri in Antarctica. So you can see such a rich profile right from school education to higher education, not only as a good teacher, but also administrator in various positions and guiding so many new projects, especially in the field of e-learning, e-content development. So with these words, welcome, and over to you for taking this session in this 8th batch that we are running under this NEP sensitization and orientation program. So over to you, sir.
Thank you very much, Vimal, for your very kind words of introduction. And I also take this opportunity to extend warm greetings to all the participants from all over the country who are joining this program on NEP orientation and sensitization program. And I'm very sure that this is going to be a great learning experience for each one of you. And as Professor Vimal has already pointed out, we have various modules encompassing National Education Policy 2020, so that, we are able to empower you as to how the education is going to change in the years to come, and then how you can further empower your students. So that's basically the spirit behind this. And before I start this talk, let me share my screen. I hope my screen is visible and I am audible.
Yes, sir. Perfect. Yeah.
Okay.
Please.
So, this is the inaugural talk, which will tell you about the various challenges which higher education teachers are going to face in the 21st century, especially in the light of NEP 2020. So that way, I think this is a very important talk, which will make you aware of what all you need to do if you want to excel in the coming years. So this is the title of my talk, as you can see, Empowering Teachers for Challenges in Higher Education in India in the 21st Century. And this is going to be a motivational talk based on NEP 2020 with the aim to empower higher education teachers to enable them to impart quality higher education to their students and also succeed and thrive in the 21st century. And believe you me, it can prove to be a game changer for each one of you. You have to just attend and then try to adapt and embrace whatsoever things we are telling you. This talk will be in 3 parts. In part A, I will just very briefly give you the introduction. And the introduction, I will start with the spirit behind the National Education Policy 2020. See, it's all about education. And education has been there for a very, very long time. But please remember that education is relevant and of quality only when it is able to serve the needs of the changing society. Otherwise, education has no meaning. And in the 21st century, world is changing very, very fast. And these changes are mainly because of technological advancements. Therefore, education has also to change. And that's what, NEP 2020 aims. National Education Policy, if you look at the whole document, it proposes so many reforms in education that are suited to 21st century needs. So from that perspective, one has to view this policy. And it is said that it is a visionary document which expresses the aspirations of the nation. And it aims to make India a global knowledge superpower. Global knowledge superpower means we should be superpower not only in the dissemination of knowledge, but also in terms of the creation of knowledge. Excellence in research, because in research you create new knowledge. And the second is the global study destination. India's higher educational institutions should become so good that students and learners from all over the world come here to study here. That's the meaning of global study destination. So these are the 2 main aims of NEP 2020. And please remember, this is the first policy of the 21st century. Earlier policies came in 1968 and 1986. And this policy is coming after almost 34 years. At least for the next 30, 40 years, it will continue. So this is something you have to keep it in mind. And there is so much in this policy, but there are 5 basic goals which are to be achieved in this policy. And they are access, quality, equity, affordability, and accountability. And at the top is, you can see access. Access basically would mean expanding higher education so that more and more people can join higher education. Our current gross enrollment ratio is only 28%. And the target of NEP 2020 is 50% by 2035. So by 2035, we must achieve this target. Then we have to ensure quality, equity, affordability, accountability. All these come under the goals of NEP 2020. And the education need to be imparted with equity. You can see the equity, social justice, and not equality as it is on the left side. And this, how will it achieve that? NEP 2020 proposes to achieve all these goals, which I just mentioned, 5 major goals, by making education holistic, flexible, and multidisciplinary. These are the 3 important characteristics of the NEP 2020. Education should become holistic. That means overall development of human beings, whether it is physical, emotional, mental, or social. Overall growth, holistic development. Then flexibility. A unique feature of NEP 2020 is the flexibility. You can do 1 year, then you can come and join later on. It offers you a lot of flexibility. And then multidisciplinary. So many different disciplines. We will see later on how it helps you in making the education multidisciplinary. So these are some of the important characteristics of NEP 2020. Having said that, now the question is why I am focusing on empowering teachers in this talk. I am focusing on empowering the teachers because, the quality of an education system can never exceed the quality of its teachers. So if you want to raise the quality of an education system, you must raise the competence level of its teachers. Otherwise, there is no point. So that means everything revolves around teachers. A teacher is the pivot of the education system. So we will have to raise the quality or the competence of our teachers. And once our teachers are empowered, they in turn will empower the students. So that is how this whole exercise is planned. And please remember, our greatest natural resource is the minds of our children. See, India is one of the youngest nations of the world. 50% population less than 25 years. 65% population less than 35 years. So we have a big demographic dividend, a big advantage of being one of the youngest nations. So we have to ready these young people for future. And to a great extent, responsibility for this rests with you, the teachers. So you have to understand that. And please remember, students may be just 25% of our population, but then they are 100% of our future. So our future depends on them. And therefore, we have to give them right education. Because a child miseducated is a child lost. And therefore, we cannot afford. No talent of the country should go waste. That should be the spirit. Every learner is unique. So educate them the way they can be, but don't miseducate them. So this was just a brief introduction. Now I will come to part B, where I will talk about the challenges which are there in the 21st century before the teachers. See, this is my own perspective, what I think from my vast experience. First, is the challenges of the present information age. We are living in an information age where you can get just any information by a click of a mouse. But then this modern digital information age poses many challenges. First is, this is an age of uncertainty with respect to jobs. This is a big challenge. Look at this. There is a future of jobs report published by the World Economic Forum, which says that there is a lot of uncertainty with respect to the nature of the jobs where our children will be working later on. We don't know. Maybe those jobs are not even existing right now. So, this is something you have to keep it in mind. We are teaching, no doubt, but which jobs they will ultimately land up, there is so much uncertainty. Second is, this is an age of mass education. Every university, every college, they are trying to increase gross enrollment ratio. So this is an age where more students over the next 30 years will graduate than since the beginning of the recorded history. So you can see traditional jobs are not increasing. More and more graduates are coming. So there will be fewer traditional jobs, but many takers. That will create a tough competition. Already you must have seen, even for one vacancy, there are so many applicants. So that shows the trend is already there. Then this is also an age where artificial intelligence is going to transform the world. This is an age where the artificial intelligence will equal the intelligence of the students by the time they finish their formal education. So the question is, if I can have machines with the same intelligence as you, then why do I need you? So that is going to be another problem. Because, all those jobs which are of repetitive or predictable nature, which require no critical thinking, no critical analysis, no research base, no specialization, all these jobs are going to be in danger because of either artificial intelligence, robotics, or automation. And please remember, our teaching job, if it is only of repetitive nature, it is also going to be in danger in future. So we will have to focus more on research, because one doesn't know how the things will change 5 or 10 years later. And then, this is a report that this is the picture of the brain. Left brain function, you can see, in future, humans may not be required for the so-called left brain function. What are the left brain functions? Analytical thinking, logic, numbers, language ability. All these will be taken over by artificial intelligence. Because anything that can be measured by numbers can be solved by artificial intelligence models. So please remember, in future, we need to focus more on right brain function. What are the right brain functions? Emotional intelligence, imagination, creativity, expression, critical thinking. All these things will come under right brain functions. So you can see how the picture is changing. So in the light of all what I have said, in the information age, the challenge for a teacher is going to be what to teach and how to teach, so that our children, our learners are successful in a future which is so uncertain. So you have to be very much aware of that. Second challenge, which I think is the Sustainable Development Goals, SDGs we call them. And sustainable development is the burning issue in the world at present. Everybody talks about that. What is sustainable development? Sustainable is something which can be maintained for a long period of time for future generations. And development is progress or economic development. So why there is so much concern about sustainable development? Why do we need to care about future generations? Because, these are the issues of concern in future. Population is exploding, as you can see. We have currently about 8 billion population, and by 2050, we will have 9.7 billion people. So you can see, with the growth of population, there is going to be a pressure on all resources, demands of everything in the society. Then there is going to be a fast depletion of resources. including food, minerals, other natural resources. Third is water scarcity is going to be a problem. There is a FAO report that by 2025, 1.8 billion people will be with acute water scarcity. And some people now say that the third world war, if it happens, it will be because of the water scarcity. Then problem of environmental degradation, we are all aware of that. How our environmental is getting deteriorated. And then climate change is occurring, rising sea levels, increase in atmospheric temperature. So these are the issues of concern. These are the issues of concern for sustainable development. And therefore, if we have to create a sustainable future, we need to address to all these issues. Education system need to address to them. Otherwise, who will tell the people that these are the issues of great importance? Only through education system. And that is why, United Nations in 2015 gave 17 sustainable development goals, which are to be achieved by 2030. That is called United Nations Agenda 2030. 193 countries signed this agenda agreement, including India. It's a commitment that these 17 goals, which are there on the right side, you can see, they are to be achieved. United Nations gave only the goals, no roadmap, because world is full of diversity. You cannot give any roadmap. Nature of the problem will vary from region to region, and even the nature of the solution will also vary, depending on the local conditions. But these 17 sustainable development goals concern entire humanity, entire mankind. Look at this: no poverty, zero hunger, good health, quality education, gender equality, and so on. All these 17 goals. It is said that these 17 sustainable development goals represent the real world problems. And their solution calls for a multidisciplinary or interdisciplinary approach. Here comes multidisciplinary, about which I was talking. Because no single goal can be achieved with the knowledge of one discipline. You need to have the knowledge of all the related disciplines. Look at this: climate change. Now, if you want to solve the problem of climate change, you have to understand. Therefore, you need knowledge of climatology, political science, economics, green technology, sociology, etc. Similarly, if you want to solve the problem of poverty, so many issues you have to look at. So, multidisciplinary, when we talk, and that is from here it came in our education also. Multidisciplinary education means allowing students to gain a deeper understanding of the subject matter through the lens of different disciplines. Everybody sees the same problem from different perspectives, from different disciplines. That is the basis of multidisciplinary education. And when this United Nations agenda was signed in 2015, at that time, our Prime Minister Narendra Modi said that much of India's development agenda is mirrored in the Sustainable Development Goals. And if you very closely examine, most of our policies are basically directly or indirectly related to the achievement of these goals. Even G20 meeting which was held, it is said that G20 is committed to aligning its work with the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development. Ultimate aim is to eradicate poverty, achieve sustainable development, and build an inclusive and sustainable future. So that's why I am saying this is a challenge for each one of us. And even one of the sustainable development goal is Sustainable Development Goal 4, quality education. And what is this goal? Ensuring inclusive and equitable quality education and promoting lifelong opportunities for all. This is the goal 4. So here comes the word inclusive, equitable, quality education, lifelong learning, all those comes. And that is, please remember that this goal was given in 2015. Our NEP came in 2020. If you examine it closely, various provisions of NEP 2020 are basically based on Sustainable Development Goal 4. That means NEP 2020 is aligned with SDG 4. This is linked. So this is something you have to be aware of. The third challenge, which I think is that the 21st century learning needs you have to be aware of. Because you are in education system. Education is the process of facilitating learning. And it will facilitate learning only if you are able to know what are the learning needs of the 21st century. And 21st century learning, two things are very important. One is rigorous academic content. You should be very good in the subject knowledge. Excellent. And second is 21st century skills. These two taken together lead to deeper learning. And this is something which all of us should have if we want to succeed and thrive in the 21st century. Now the question is, what are 21st century skills? See, 21st century skills are a set of abilities which each one of us must have if we want to succeed in the modern world. They come under three categories, as you can see. Look at that. One is the learning skills, where come critical thinking, creativity, collaboration, and communication, 4 C's. Then come literacy skills, information literacy, media literacy, technology literacy, IMT. Then comes life skills, flexibility, leadership, initiative, productivity, and social skills. So taken together, if you look at them, these are 12 basic skills which are must for everybody in the modern world. They will elevate your job performance. If you have these skills, even as a teacher, you will excel. In any job you may be, this is very important for you. You may ask the question why these have become so important. See, all these skills have become so important because artificial intelligence cannot replicate them. You cannot have machines with these skills. You can't have a machine which is creative or critical thinking or which has leadership quality, etc. So those individuals who will have these skills in the modern world, they will have an advantage over the others, even in their job placement. And in the light of all this, quality education in the 21st century ultimately will focus or will have to focus on these three things. Look at them clearly, please. Knowledge. You need to have a disciplinary knowledge, interdisciplinary knowledge, and practical knowledge. You may be in any discipline. Economics, physics, science, mathematics, commerce, anywhere. These three things are must. Interdisciplinary is very important. Then 21st century skills, I just told you. Then domain-specific skills related to your discipline. There are always some skills, characteristic of your discipline that also you should have. And the third, which is very important, is your personality, your values, your attitude, your traits, your disposition. These are the three things which one learns through education. And this is what quality education in the 21st century will focus on: knowledge, skills, and personality. And these three things taken together constitute your competence for any profession, any profession. Tomorrow, if you are an engineer, knowledge is of a different type. Skills you again need, personality again you need. You are an IAS, You need knowledge, but of a different type, skills again, and then personality. That is why, institutions are focusing on creating conducive learning environment, trying to have adequate infrastructure so that these competence can be, developed in our learners. And many universities have now started skill enhancement courses, SECs, and value-added courses. See, when we were students, nobody talked about these things. But now awareness has come. Yes, all the three things are important. Therefore, the message is you need to acquire competence for excellence in any profession through quality education. That is what quality education does. And this is a very important slide. Look at this. Knowledge, skills, personality. That will determine your competence. Whether you're a teacher or whether you're a student or anybody, you need to have this. These days, people talk about outcome-based education, OBE. Now, what is the outcome? Outcome has to be a mixture of these. Because you can learn only these three things, knowledge, skills, and personality. You don't learn anything else. So, outcomes are also ultimately the mixture of these three components. We can also call them the competencies or the outcomes. Then, the fourth challenge, which I think is very important, and that is the need of creative and innovative minds in India. See, I personally feel that in India, there is a crisis of innovation and creativity. As a teacher, I feel. This was my article. I think last year it came. India's future is in innovation, make education more creative. See, if you look at the fact, no Indian scientist working in India has been able to get Nobel Prize after 1930. C.V. Raman was the last person who got it for the physics discipline, for the discovery of the Raman effect. No prize, no Nobel Prize ever for an Indian chemist working in India. These people, Professor Hargobind Khurana, Chandrasekhar, Venkata Raman, these people did get Nobel Prize, but they were non-resident Indians. They were not working in India. Even Amartya Sen got Nobel Prize, but for years he has been staying and working abroad. Even Abhijit Banerjee, who got Nobel Prize in 2019, is an American citizen. So here, what I want to tell is that Nobel Prize is not a lifetime achievement award. It is for a breakthrough, which changes the course of humanity. And if you want to excel in research at that level, you need many things. One is enormous amount of creativity and open-mindedness. This is a prerequisite if you want to excel in research. Then willingness to collaborate. We teach our students to become competitors. Then it becomes very difficult for them to collaborate. Then you need perseverance and resilience. Setbacks occur, you have to rebound back. So these are the three minimum things amongst many others, but these are major things. If you are lacking in them, excellence in research will be missing. If you look at this, our world ranking, it's poor, not much, looking at the size of the country. There has been a decline also. And one of the main reasons for poor world ranking of our higher educational institutions is poor quality of our research programs. And why our research programs are poor? Because, we don't teach our students with creative thinking. And then sometimes best students don't come to research. This was a report which was recently given in Rajya Sabha that the best science students are going to civil services. Between 2017 to 2021, over 76% of the candidates who were recommended for All India civil services, They were from 76% and more were from engineering, science, and medicine. Only 23.6% were from the humanities stream. So why do we lack in quality research? That could be the question. It is linked with our education system. Our education system is, I personally feel, still outdated. We do not encourage thinking, innovation, and creativity amongst our students. This is a very serious drawback. And without creativity, please remember, there can be no progress and we would be forever repeating the same pattern. And even in research, if you look at the various steps in research, the starting point is identifying the research problem. That is the starting point. And for that, you need creativity again. And that is missing. Because creativity comes when you have vast knowledge. Because creativity is like connecting the previously unconnected dots. You need to have a very vast knowledge, interdisciplinary, all that. Then you should have a motivation. Then you should have a critical thinking, creative thinking skills. The rest of the things, literature survey, hypotheses, designing research, data collection, those will automatically follow. But starting point is creativity. Another challenge which I think, in the light of what I have said, that is the fifth challenge, and that is to enhance the quality of higher education which we give to our students. See, in respect of education, three things are very important. What do we teach? Then, how do we teach? Pedagogy. And the third is, how do we assess our students? And then, of course, teacher is there. So these are three very important things for any education system. But if you look at India's education system, look at this, please look at this. We have 21st century students, you can see. But the content which we teach sometimes is of the 19th century. Methods of teaching, assessment methods, courses, architecture, they are all of 20th century. It seems as if we have not changed with the changing times. We need to address the needs of the changing society, and therefore our education system should change. Our methods of teaching continue to remain the same. And now first look at the first, what do we teach? That comes under curriculum. Because curriculum is the total learning experience. And the greatest challenge to curriculum comes from the growth of knowledge. The knowledge in all disciplines is growing very, very fast. So fast that the doubling time of the growth of knowledge has shrunk considerably. Shelf life of knowledge is becoming shorter day by day. Look at this. There was a time when human knowledge was doubling in 150 years. Now it is getting doubled in almost 73 days. So you can see how soon our knowledge is getting outdated. What we know in any discipline is merely a drop, and what we do not know is an ocean. And it's a very interesting statement which I am making. Curriculum is becoming outdated as soon as it is created, because knowledge is growing very, very fast. Therefore, NEP 2020 also says we need to revise curriculum more frequently. Knowledge is growing. We need to have modern syllabi, light syllabi, because we should give students more time for thinking. Education is not the learning of the facts. It is the training of the mind to think. Just give core essential, but make them think. Because outdated syllabi which we have, they will increase the gap between what is learned and what should be learned. And this is one major reason which affects the quality of research. Outdated syllabi. If in any field today we are not leaders or only followers, this outdated syllabi is one major component. There is also a lack of coordination between school and higher education in India. Here is Professor C.N. Rao, the Bharat Ratna scientist, who said that 90% of the universities in India have outdated curriculum. Outdated. See, in the modern time, we need to have skill-based and industry-led curriculum. The world is shifting towards skill-based economy. Skill means emphasis should be on practical knowledge and hands-on experience. We still focus more on theoretical knowledge. And then teachers also need to be equipped accordingly. Teachers might have been taught in the old-fashioned way, but then they will have to change with the changing times. Second comes the pedagogy. Pedagogy basically means how do we teach? Pedagogy is art and science of teaching. And we still have the traditional talk and chalk method of teaching, which is a teacher-centric approach, textbook-oriented. We follow a particular textbook. Emphasis is more on completion of the syllabus. Every activity is directed by the teacher. Just a simple chalk and talk method. We don't keep in mind that our classrooms are filled with students who have different needs. Some are fast learners, some are slow learners, but we teach them in the same way. Our students come from different educational backgrounds. They have different attention span and interest. They have different language abilities. They have different cultural backgrounds. All these things are never taken into consideration. Just a teacher is teaching the same way. Just as, we say one size fits all delivery. That will not work. Then we have very large classrooms where you cannot pay, individualized attention. And then the focus of our method of teaching is generally more focuses on examination, rote learning, and scoring high marks. This is today's reality in every discipline. Nobody wants to learn concepts. Everybody wants to score 90+ marks. Irony of our country is the focus is more on well-filled mind, but what we need is well-formed mind. That's missing. Well-formed mind comes through thinking, innovation, or creativity, because real education must transform the learners. Just as you have a seed grows to become a plant grows to become a tree. That sort of transformation is needed. And please remember, learning is not the product of teaching. Students don't learn because you teach. No, that's a wrong presumption. Learning is the product of the activity of the learners. So, in the modern world, we need to engage our students, our learners, involve them in activities. Because, better engagement of learners will lead to better retention of learned information. So this unfortunately is missing in our education system. That's why, the new education policy focuses on learner-centric method of education. And learner-centric method of teaching is not a single method of teaching. There are so many, including experiential learning. All are under learner-centric. These are the various learner-centric methods of teaching. All of them are learner-centric. Suppose it is a problem-based learning, You give a problem, let them do everything on their own. Project-based learning, case studies, inquiry-based learning, flipped classroom, then collaborative learning, TPS strategy, think, pair, and share strategy, community outreach, international travel. All these are learner-centric experiences from where you learn. Internship, UG research programs, apprenticeship, fieldwork, all of them are learner-centric, hands-on and minds-on. So we as teachers need to embrace all these methods now. That traditional talk and chalk will not work. That's why, fostering experiential learning and critical thinking among students is an important objective of NEP 2020. And this experiential learning or learner-centric approach, this should come from school levels. Because by the time students come to higher education, I think they are already quite grown up. It becomes very difficult to change them. And experiential learning, that's again learning by doing. See the retention rate of experiential learning, it's about 75%, whereas merely delivering a lecture by a talk and chalk method, the retention rate is just 5%. So, through learner-centric education, we will notice that the roles of the learners will change from just passive learner, which they are in a traditional teacher-centric method of teaching. They will now become active, highly independent, and creative thinkers. So we all need to follow these new methods of teaching. Please remember, if we teach today's student as we taught yesterday's, we are going to rob them of tomorrow. We will have to change with the changing times. And it is a very big challenge to all of you. You should not only be aware of all this, you should also practice it in the class. Only then things will change. This was my article in Education Times about the creativity crisis in the Indian education system. This is my another article of flipped classroom. I think we will take up this flipped classroom in some other lecture in detail. Third is, how do we assess our students? Assessment is very important. Because, NEP also says we need to transform the culture of assessment. Because assessment drives learning. The way you will assess your students will start learning in that way. So that can be a good way to enhance the quality of education in the country. Change the method of assessment. See, unfortunately, our examination system is still rote-based, mainly about textbook content. You test facts, definitions, procedures which are given in that textbook. Anything which comes outside the textbook is called out of syllabus or even protested. That's not the purpose of education. Assessment process needs to be made more scientific to encourage multiple skills of the students, such as analysis, critical thinking, and conceptual clarity. So the question is how to make assessment process more scientific. Again, teachers can do it. Teachers can play a very important role in assessment and evaluation. See, we have about 4 crore students, more than that in higher education. They go through various exams, etc. How you assess them, your competence, your creativity, your skills can play a very important role. For example, when you acquire knowledge, first let me see. See, these days MCQs have become very popular. All major exams, CUET, all they are MCQ based. Now these MCQs have some serious limitations. With the help of MCQs, it's not possible to measure the ability to apply knowledge to complex problems or solve problems. This is a serious limitation. There is no opportunity for the students to demonstrate the depth of their knowledge. How will they show in MCQs? Just they have to take one option. And then no opportunity to showcase their creative, logical, and analytical skills. Again, that is missing. And no test of effective writing or oral skills. So you can see these four are various serious limitations of MCQs. And they are becoming so popular. So we will have to think on all that. I recently wrote an article how to crack MCQ exams for CBSE. That was a different, purpose was different. But MCQs have some serious limitations. There is no doubt about that. And just as if you look at the knowledge has this revised Bloom's taxonomy. This has 6 learning objectives, learning outcomes. You can see cognitive domain, that is the mental domain, or if you learn knowledge, it takes you from remembering, understanding, application up to creativity. So these are the 6 learning outcomes of cognitive learning. You are going from lower order thinking skill to higher order thinking skill. And therefore, you should test each one of them in your assessment. But we don't do. We generally test the lower ones, remembering, understanding, or application. That's a problem. Creativity is altogether missing. And therefore, the best combination is take a blend of various methods of assessment. Look at this. For lower order thinking skills, you can have MCQs, short question answer, match, fill in the blanks, numericals, etc. But for higher order thinking skills, you should have projects, internship, e-portfolios, field works. A combination of this will work for cognitive domain. But I don't think we all do that much. If you ask any teacher to set a question paper, they will just take last 4 or 5 years question papers and just based on them, they will set it in 2 hours and give it to you. Then the whole purpose of education is defeated. And then the next challenge, which is very important, is need to embrace technology and become tech savvy. This is a big 21st century development. You will have to do that. Because it is difficult to imagine education without technology in the 21st century. You will have to take into account. There's no doubt about that. Even new education policy says the relationship between technology and education is bidirectional. Technology enhances the quality of education, enhanced quality of education further improves the technology, so they just feed on each other. But please remember, technology should be used strategically to benefit the student. Now, our young students are so much dependent on technology, they use it so excessively that it has adversely impacted the generation of original ideas and hence creativity. They have ceased to become creative. For every small thing, they just use laptop, technology, that's all. Thinking is missing. This is a big damage the system is doing. And technology has already changed the higher education scenario. You all know that. If you look at ICT, how it has changed higher education, especially during Corona timings. Teaching learning has changed. Self-learning is becoming a new norm. E-learning, MOOCs, PowerPoint presentations are becoming very popular. Experimental work is done through virtual labs. Again, technology. You can revise syllabi quickly using email, discussion forum, or video conferencing. Again, technology. For research, ICT tools have come which help you in almost the way the research is conducted. Online examinations are becoming very popular. Assessment, National Testing Agency has been created in the country. Professional development of the teachers is through online mode. This program is also online. Then many ICT-empowered pedagogies have come. Learner-centric methods of teaching have come. So technology has already changed. And in each one of them, it is the teacher who has played a pivotal role. So you will have to embrace all that. This is going to be a big challenge. And now, even you know that National Digital University is coming in India. This is based on hub and spoke model. Hub is the SWAYAM platform where we have the various MOOCs which are hosted. So, and second is Samarth, which is the governance platform. And then spikes are the various partner higher educational institutions which meet a particular criteria. So National Digital University is coming. Again, it's the technology. And these are some of the advantages of the National Digital University: unlimited seats, minimal eligibility criteria, affordable education, flexible learning, large variety of courses, education in your mother tongue. So you can see how the education scenario is changing. And this would not have been possible without technology, online education. But please remember, technology will never replace great teachers. But technology in the hands of great teachers can be transformational. You have to be a great teacher first. That is, you are a teaching profession. You have to be a great teacher. Thinking part you have to do. Technology is only an enabler. It will facilitate you to do many things. You know, technology enables you to achieve the vision of the person who is using it. So this combination, a great teacher and tech savvy, that can do wonders. This was my report in Times of India that technology won't replace teachers. And then, you know, in the light of this, the next challenge is the roles of the teachers are now going to change. New roles of the teachers are going to come. The roles of the teachers are going to change significantly in the 21st century. Please remember that. These are going to be the new roles. Look at them. You will have to become tech-savvy teachers in ICT skills, 21st century skills, artificial intelligence tools, and various ICT tools you will have to learn. If students are enrolled in e-learning or MOOCs, and if they have some queries, who will answer? The teachers. So you must learn how to manage virtual classroom and discussion forum. You need to engage students by learner-centric blended learning pedagogies. So teachers will become coaches or mentors rather than merely knowledge providers. That's the role is changing. No, there was a time when teacher was the only source of knowledge, but not now. You also have to be proficient in the development of e-content and MOOCs. You should have excellent writing skills. So these are some of the new roles which teachers will have to face. So please, ladies and gentlemen, what I want to say is a change of mindset is required in the modern world. Don't think that what I know is enough. No, that is not going to work. I must learn more. Look at the quote, birds born in a cage think flying is an illness. So change your mindset. And you know, with time, so many new revolutions have taken place. Look at this. Green Revolution took place in India long back. This was Dr. M.S. Swaminathan in 60s, 70s. He was the father of the Green Revolution. It changed everything. Green Revolution. At one stage, India was a food deficient nation. It became one of the, surplus agricultural power in the world. That was the Green Revolution. Then came White Revolution. We became the biggest milk producer in the world. This was by Dr. Kurian. 1970 onwards. Then came Industrial Revolution, where different technologies came. Currently, we are having Industrial Revolution 4 and 5. New technologies are changing the thing. And for all these Industrial Revolution, we need workforce. We need trained and competent workforce. So, in order to succeed in the modern world, we need a trained and competent workforce or manpower. And therefore, India is now experiencing, I would say, educational revolution from 2020 onwards, once this NEP 2020 came. And the mind behind it was Dr. K. Kasturirangan. So we are witnessing this transformation in the world. We will have to change. That is why all these programs, all these empowerment of the teachers, etc., is going on. The key to meeting various challenges in higher education, whatsoever I have told you, that lies in the regular empowerment of teachers. You need to be trained. Professional development should become a journey and not a destination regularly. You should attend such programs because the world is changing very, very fast. And now I come to the last part, which is C, which is also very important. And that is, I want to share with you some personality development tips for enhancing your competence. So these are based on my own experience. This is something which is very important if you want to excel in your profession. See, I showed you this slide earlier. We need knowledge, we need skills, but sometimes we ignore personality part. And all the three are very important. Even if one of them is weak, it will affect your competence in any profession you may be. Now you are in the teaching profession. Even there, it will adversely affect your competence if you don't have the right personality. And by personality, I mean a set of traits and behaviors that characterize an individual. Personality doesn't mean your looks only. And look at this report. 87% of all people fail not because of capability, but because of their personality. And the worst part is people do not know that their personality is coming in the way of their job performance. Because, personality development is often neglected in India, and we suffer a lot because of this. This is my feeling. Your personality can transform your future. And why personality development is important? Because, your personality influences almost every aspect of your life. Any aspect you may take, your personality influences that. So, what are the tips? Therefore, I want to give you some personality development tips in the form of life lessons to enhance your competence. And believe you me, these can be the game changer for your life. First is learn the art of living. See, it's very unfortunate. I say that most of the people only exist. Living has become rare. Please remember, you only live once, but if you do it right, one is more than enough. So learn the art of living. And one thing about life is that life can only be understood backwards, but then it has to be lived forwards. There is no denying that fact. So, this is a very good quote. Just look at that old lady telling her granddaughter, it's only a short trip, enjoy it. Life looks like an eternity, but actually it's only a short trip. Very soon it will be over. You don't know. Time will pass. So the art of living is basically capability to draw pleasure from life and to succeed in the greatest test called life. Life itself is a great test. So art of living is how you manage your life. Look at this. This was a report just a few days back. World Happiness Index. This came in Indian Express. India in the World Happiness Index is at 126th position out of 143 countries. People are not happy, stressed and thinking always something, not able to do, worried and all that, under pressure. Why? It's our, we will see why this is, and the top is Finland, Iceland, Israel. They are amongst the top countries of the world, which are top in the happiness index. And please remember, you will never find a happy life. You will have to make it. Nobody will give you a happy life on a platter. No, never, never. It will never happen. ये एक बहुत अच्छा कोट है, जिंदगी बहुत कुछ देकर भी किसी ना किसी चीज के लिए फकीर बनाए रखती है. Life is not fair. You will never be fully contented. You may have so many things, but still you will yearn for something more. That is life. So the first thing which I want you is you should be proactive in life. This is my message to you. See, nobody told us all these things, but I'm sharing with you because this can change your life. Be proactive. Proactive means if you are proactive, you focus on preparing. If you are reactive, you end up focusing on repairing. So be proactive in life. And proactive people don't wait for the ship to come in, they swim out to it. So take the step well in advance, in anticipation that this could happen. That is what I mean by proactivity. Sometimes, we people are not. We start living in a comfort zone. Okay, when the things will come, we will see. That is not good. You will have to come out of your comfort zone. Life begins at the end of your comfort zone. It's only after you have stepped out of your comfort zone that you begin to change, grow, and transform. Majority of us start living very soon in a comfort zone. And this is a very famous quote from Benjamin Franklin. Some people die at 25 and are not buried until 75. Look at this. They're living in comfort zone, hardly bother. But then there are some people who are 75 and they live as if they are 25. Mindset, thinking, proactive, accepting challenges of life. They can totally transform your life. And in your journey, one important quality which I think is important is self-belief. You will be able to succeed in life only if you believe that you can. Believe in yourself. Look at the quote, a bird sitting on a tree is never afraid of the branch breaking because her trust is not in the branch but in her own wings. So this belief, self-confidence is a must if you want to succeed in life. Millions of people may believe in you, but if you do not believe in yourself, everything else goes waste. And a person who believes in himself has no need to convince others. That's the power of self-confidence. Then another thing which I feel sometimes we see lacking in the young people is that they work very hard, but what I want is you work hard sensibly. See, in respect of working hard, direction is more important than speed. Choose your direction very carefully. Give a lot of time. Do a strategic planning. How will you achieve your goal? Of course, you are free to choose any direction, no doubt. But then you will not be free from the consequences of your choice. So choose your direction very, very carefully. And please remember, life is a process. No one rises suddenly in the world, not even the sun. Be persistent, have a never give up attitude. Look at this. Only the persistent people achieve their goals. If you get 1% better each day for 1 year, you will end up 38 times better at the end of the year. And if you get 1% worse, then you can see where you will be after 1 year. Persistence pays, but persistence after choosing the right direction, that combination is must. You should not only decide what to do, but you should also take a decision what you will not do also, both positive and negative, because your time is important. And then always strive for excellence. A penguin can never be a giraffe. So try to be the best penguin you can. You are in teaching, become an outstanding teacher. You are an author, become an outstanding author. You are a researcher, become an outstanding researcher. Excellence should be the key word. And then one more thing which I think is important is never become arrogant in life. Sometimes a small success goes into a person's head and the person becomes arrogant. Avoid that. Arrogance is the surest path to failure. And look at this quote. कभी किसी चीज का घमंड आ जाए तो शमशान का एक चक्कर लगा आना, तुमसे बेहतरीन लोग वहां राख बने पड़े. So never become arrogant. See, there's a difference between confidence and arrogance. Confidence comes from self-belief. Arrogance comes from ego. So there is a subtle difference between the two. Please remember you are dust and to dust you shall return. So keep this reality of life always in mind and then you will never become arrogant. And this is the most important thing which I think is self-discipline. By self-discipline, I mean mastery over your thoughts. If you can control what you think, you can always control what you do. This is the big link, and this is very important because your thoughts. Because the heaviest burden that we carry are the thoughts in our head. And there is nothing in this world that can trouble you more than your own thoughts. See, look at this. An average person thinks about 70,000 thoughts a day. 70,000 thoughts a day. So if you can discipline yourself, you can control your thinking, you can control your life because you can understand the power of your thoughts and then you program it for your success. Try to have positive thoughts. Again, it's switch on, switch off. It is possible. Start practicing self-control. If you can learn self-control, you can master anything. And then, this self-control will also help you in preparing you for mental toughness, which is sometimes required in times of adversity. Mental toughness is the ability to focus on and execute solution, especially in the face of adversity. So self-control will also make you mentally tough. This is what I said. Again, I am repeating, always strive for excellence. A penguin cannot become a giraffe, so try to be the best penguin. Then be always positive and honest in life. Positive mindset can do wonders for you. Always have positive thinking. Look at this, 11 marks out of 10. That's the height of positive thinking. Because, positive thinkers will have a solution for every problem and negative thinkers will have a problem for every solution. So think positive. Now you will say how to think positive. Again, it is linked to self-discipline, which I said, control. See, you have a brain and you have a mind. Brain is an organ, whereas mind is something, I will say brain is like a hardware and mind is like a software. You can control the software and the things will change. Because it is the mindset which disturbs, separates the best from the rest. And it is very rightly said, your life is ultimately as good as your mindset. Master your mind, master your life. Control that software, that is your mind. You will become the master of your mind. You will become the master of your life. And then overcome fear of failure. This is another thing, because ये बहुत अच्छा कोट है, जब तक तुम डरते रहोगे तुम्हारी जिंदगी के फैसले कोई और लेता रहेगा. So overcome the fear of failure. Because failures can be the pillars of success depending on how you take them. Look at them. You can take them as a stepping stone to achieve the success. Your attitude towards failure determines your altitude after failure. Again, a question of attitude. Attitude, again, mindset. So you can see how much is dependent on your mindset. Stop worrying and start living. This is also, worry is a big problem in the modern generations. Because, worry, I feel, is a misuse of your imagination. We suffer more in imagination than in reality. And one day you will look back and realize that you worry too much about things that don't really matter. But by that time, the time would have gone and you will not be able to do anything. So the best thing is you worry only about the things which are in your control and not about the things which are out of your control. And what is in your control? It is your attitude, your effort, and your focus. Just worry about them. Forget about the others. What others think of you, what happens to you, what will happen in future, what is the actions of others, outcome of my effort. All that is not in your hand. That's all. Forget. And then control anger. This is another very important thing. It's a normal emotion, no doubt. Everybody says, everybody feels angry. But please remember that the fire of anger burns you first. Never say mean words out of anger, because your anger will pass, but your mean words can scare a person for life. So use either kind words or be silent. So very easy to say, but very difficult to practice. But again, self-discipline practice, you will achieve this. And psychology says, beneath anger, there always lies the fear. This is true. There is always some fear whenever you are angry, something you are fearing. And sometimes people say, I don't care about it. Psychology says that those people who say, I don't care about it, they care the most. That's also the psychology says. And this is a very useful tip for you. किसी पर ज्यादा नाराज होने से बेहतर है कि अपने जीवन में उसकी अहमियत को ही कम कर दो. Again, mindset, you can see. So, time management is another very important thing for enhancing your competence. That is, the management of your time is life management. This is a very famous quote from Amitabh. कल खो दिया आज के लिए, आज खो दिया कल के लिए, कभी जी ना सके हम आज के लिए, बीत रही है जिंदगी कल और आज और कल के लिए. So every day is once in a lifetime. Therefore, invest your time and don't spend it. That's the message which I want to give. Time is what we want most, but what we use worst. And these are the realities of life, just to remind you that these things can change. These things may look very odd, but then they can change your life. Please remember, today is the tomorrow you worried about yesterday. बंधी हैं हाथ पर सबके घड़ियां, मगर पकड़ में किसी के एक लम्हा भी नहीं. Time will keep on passing. Time spares no one. Everybody will change with time. Things will ultimately, each one of us are passing through this phase to reach our end. Time spares none. Look at this. This is a small Bollywood song. समय की धारा में, समय की धारा में, वो घड़ी की जो घड़ी की And you know, this last picture of Vinod Khanna, I still remember when he was alive. At this live picture I saw, see how life changes, how time changes people. That's life. So then another thing is, you are living in a society, you must also learn to win people. Winning people means don't criticize, condemn, or complain people. Give honest and sincere appreciation. Show respect for other person's opinions. Become genuinely interested. Be a good listener. Never say directly you are wrong. That is very impolite. Even if you have to say, you can say it indirectly. And then have a high opinion of yourself. Having a low opinion is not modesty, it is self-destruction. Think high of yourself. It is a necessary precondition for happiness and success. Think higher. Why not? Because, you may not be perfect in many things, but many things cannot be perfect without you also. So stay special in your own little ways. You are unique. No one can match you. So, ladies and gentlemen, at the end of the day, the challenge is you will have to challenge yourself. Your biggest competition is with you. You will have to become the master of your mind and not the puppet of your mind. Be your own king. And if you are your own king only if you know how to rule yourself. So this is very, very important. You don't have the problem. You are the problem. Attitude, mindset is ultimately everything. स्वर्ग भी तू है, नर्क भी तू है. इन दोनों का फर्क भी तू है. देखिए, ये बिल्कुल इनको एक स्लाइड्स मत समझिए. ये इनमें लाइफ के कई एक्सपीरियंसेस निचोड़ हैं. जो समझना तो ये सारी चीजें पड़ेंगी लाइफ में. टाइम से समझ आओ तो बेटर रहता है. नहीं तो बाद में तो फिर समझ तो आ ही जाती है. जिंदगी छोटी नहीं होती. लोग जीना ही देरी से शुरू करते हैं. जब तक रास्ते समझ में आते हैं तब तक लौटने का वक्त हो जाता है. And then please remember, it's never too late to be what you might have been. Challenges keep us fresh. I always say this quote: a ship is safe in harbor, but that's not what ships are built for. Similarly, humans are not designed to be happy in status quo. So continue to remain dissatisfied so that you can get better and better. Because challenges will keep you fresh. Don't take every challenge as a problem. Take every problem as a challenge. Then your mindset will change. Your approach will be different. And challenges are, I told you today, so many challenges in higher education. They are all the doorways to excellence. I think so many challenges. I can take each one of them and try to win over them. Challenges are the opportunities in disguise. And somebody very rightly said, when the winds of change blow, some people build walls while others build windmills. It's how you make use of the opportunities. These are the lessons people learn too late in life, but ultimately you will all have to learn all this. Everything is temporary in this world. Stay connected, but not attached. Life is never fair. Don't complain. Beneath anger, there is always fear. Things don't matter. People matter. Once people leave life, that creates a vacuum, but then that's part of life. A lifetime is not very long. You may be 30, 40, 50, 60-year-old, and the rest of the life will also be over soon. So it's not a very long lifetime. You played it too safe. You should have taken risks in life also. You should be courageous, I would say. Life has no reset button. Live every day life. It's your own, like it's your last day. And please remember, realization comes to everybody in one's life. But generally, by the time it comes, it's too late. That's why I am telling you all these things. समय और समझ दोनों एक साथ बस किस्मत वालों को ही मिलते हैं. क्योंकि अक्सर समय पर समझ नहीं आती और समझ आने पर समय निकल चुका होता. तो दुनिया जिसे कहते हैं जादू का खिलौना है, जो मिल गया वो मिट्टी और जो ना मिला वो सोना है. बहुत अच्छा मुझे ये कोट लगता है, और उसी के रिलेटेड एक गाने का एक पैरा है, फिर उसके बाद मैं खत्म कर दूंगा. जस्ट वॉच इट. दुनिया में कम न होंगे, अफसोस हम न होंगे. दुनिया है मौज दरिया, कतरे की जिंदगी क्या. दुनिया है मौज दरिया, कतरे की जिंदगी क्या. पानी में मिल के पानी, अंजाम ये के पानी. पानी में मिल के पानी, अंजाम ये के पानी. दम भर को सांस ले ले, दम भर को सांस ले ले, ये जिंदगी के मेले. दुनिया में कम न होंगे, अफसोस हम न होंगे. ये जिंदगी के मेले, ये जिंदगी के मेले, ये जिंदगी के मेले, ये जिंदगी के मेले. Anyway, just stop it here. So I'll go to the last slide and then. What happened? I just. No, sorry. So, one day you will be just a memory for some people. Do your best to be a good one. And the last is, जिंदगी के रंग मंच पर अपना किरदार इतनी शिद्दत से निभाएं कि पर्दा गिरने के बाद भी तालियां बजती रहें. जिंदगी नहीं मिलेगी दोबारा. So this is the message to all of you. Thank you very much. It was a pleasure being with you. Your feedback is welcome. Thanks a lot. This is my cell number. This is my email ID. We can always be in touch, and all the best for the success of this program. And I'm sure this will be a great learning experience for you. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, and good evening, Professor Sarita. Professor Sarita is also here. I'll request her to say formal thanks to Professor Bakshi.
Yeah. So
Hello.
thank
Hello.
you.
Good
Sir.
evening. Good evening.
Yeah, good evening, sir. It's my pleasure to be here to listen to your lecture and propose a vote of thanks for this very extensive overview that you gave us about the higher education in today's era. I think here we are all teachers, and it is very important that we do understand the changing needs of the students and in today's world. So you, when you talked of the educational needs in the 21st century that we all need to embrace, along with the learner-centric education, I think that was so well brought to the front, because we all need to delve into that. And since you also told us that there is not a single method, it's not just a single method of teaching that we can use. We can use any method depending upon the needs of the students. So I think depending upon how we are comfortable, and depending upon what all is available to us, I think we can choose different methods. So I think, like you said, that if we teach our students like we taught them yesterday, we will rob them of tomorrow. I think we all need to understand that thoroughly. So thank you, sir, for giving us all the methods that we can use, like projects, internships. I think you gave us such a complete overview of all this. So I think also you also told us about how we can embrace technology to make us ourselves tech savvy. I think, sir, we all need to understand, we all have actually embraced technology, particularly when we attend these programs. I think we learn so much about the technology and we all embrace it. So I think we can do more of that. So that quote that you said about, I must learn more, I've already put it in on my table, and my children, when they saw, they were so happy that I, at this age, I have put that as my motto of my life. I think that I must learn more. It's in very big letters. I put it on my board. So I think I have made that motto of my life. And we all need to understand that we need to choose our direction. Like I said, direction is more, like you said, the direction is more important than speed, and be persistent at it. So I think each quote was more powerful than the previous one, and gave us so much energy for our life, along with the personality traits that you mentioned. So thank you for
Thank you. Thank you
such
very
an
much.
extensive overview of what all we need to do, along with how we can make ourselves more comfortable with our students, with our colleagues, with in general about life. So I would like to thank you from the bottom of my heart for such an powerful talk that you delivered. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Actually,
Thank you.
there is always so much to say, but then there is a restriction of time also. You have to finish it. But still, whatsoever I thought is very important for the young colleagues who are attending this program, I tried to put it in a capsule form so that, they remember the things. This is really something which is required. And I always say that when we were very young teachers, nobody told us these things. Honestly, nobody told us. Always the focus was more on knowledge, all that. Nobody told about these life tips, all that. But now we realize how important these are. The art of living, so important. All the things which you need to excel as a competent professional. Anyway, so that's why we are passing down all this information to the young colleagues. Thank you very much. And I can see Professor Ved Prakash already there.
Welcome, sir.
Welcome, sir.
Namaskar.
Nice to
Namaskar,
see
sir.
you. And generally it happens that I finish and you join. So that is how it has been. So it's always a pleasure to welcome you. And thanks a lot for taking the trouble to be a part of our program. And sometimes it's at very odd hours because you are abroad. But still, I'm sure you are always doing it so nicely, and participants are very eagerly looking forward to your talk because they don't look at it as just one talk, but they see in it a total 40, 50 years life's experience in a capsule form being given in 1 hour, 1.5 hours. I think that's
Thank you very much.
rare to get it. Thank you,
Thank
sir.
you.
Over to
Okay,
you and over to Vimal.
Thank you.
thank you.
sir.
Thank you very much.
And good morning, sir. Welcome, please. And what I'll say कि अभी तो शुरुआत है. The first day is always a trailer for us from both of these stalwarts, starting with either Professor Ved Prakash sir or Professor Bakshi. We have that entire overview, and then gradually we'll narrow down on the different themes as they have been put up. So let me just share my screen and take the things further. So welcome once again in this 8th batch of NEP orientation and sensitization program. And the next eminent speaker we have is Professor Ved Prakash sir, who is mentor of our center, UGC-MMTTC, GAD-MMTTC, and former chairman, University Grants Commission. Although sir never allows me, but I again will not listen to him and will briefly introduce, because this again is going to motivate our younger colleagues, because when we read the profile of such stalwarts, it also gives them that, okay, what all are the things that we can really aspire to and do. So in that spirit, sir, please allow me to briefly introduce you. So Professor Ved Prakash sir has, you can see, various academic and professional qualification like DLit, PhD, MSc, MEd, US Fulbright Fellow at Michigan University, CCE, PAP, HIID, Harvard University, and professional experience of more than 48 years in policy making, teaching, research, and administration. Professor Ved Prakash is a distinguished name in Indian academia, has a unique distinction of spearheading the University Grants Commission, the apex regulator of higher education in India, as its chairman, vice chairman, and secretary for around 15 years. Under his stewardship, the UGC made significant strides in the areas of curriculum reforms, internationalization, basic scientific research, skill education, gender and social equity in higher education, to name a few. He has to his credit the transformation of NEPA into a university, where he also served as its founder vice chancellor. With more than 48 years of his stellar career, he has made seminal contribution as advisor education in the Planning Commission of India, chairman, National Council for Teacher Education, professor and head at DEME NCRT, joint director, Staff Selection Commission, Government of India. And I'll add that at NCRT and Staff Selection Commission, he also was instrumental in training the teachers across the country in especially the assessment pattern. The NTSC type of examinations were introduced in his tenure. A US Fulbright scholar, Professor Prakash sir, has been a visiting faculty at University of Windsor, Canada, a guest faculty at HIIT Harvard University, and a consultant to the World Bank. He has the distinction of being an interlocutor under the prestigious US International Visitors Leadership Program. He has the honor of serving as a member of the jury for a notable UNESCO EPID Venue Award for Educational Innovation for 10 long years. He represented India in numerous bilateral and multilateral forums in about 30 foreign countries. He has published extensively on a wide spectrum of areas concerning school education, higher education, educational planning, and administration. He has been conferred with various coveted awards and honors for his contribution in the field of education. Sir, we are truly blessed to have you here and take the session on this another batch of bright young fellow colleagues who have joined as participant in this from all over the country. So over to you, sir.
Thank you very much, Professor Vimal. Very good evening to all the participants. Let me tell you that I'm very fortunate to have joined this group of Professor Bakshi and Professor Vimal, who have been making seminal contribution in the area of education. I was deeply inspired actually after seeing the kind of work which they did when I was working for the University Grants Commission, insofar as the e-courseware development work was concerned. And since then, I'm with their team. Today, Professor Vimal wishes me to reflect on the National Education Policy 2020. I'll begin by making a statement that we make policies for certain reasons, actually. There are multiple reasons, but of them, the most important reason is that we try to express our intents through the policy. We try to develop a roadmap. We envision where do we want to see ourselves in 10 years from hence, or 15 years from hence, or 5 years from hence. This is not the first time that we have brought out a national education policy. This is the third policy which we have brought out after independence. The first one was brought out in 1968. The second one was brought out in 1986, and this is the third one which we brought out after a gap of 34 long years. One way of talking to you could be that I reflect on all the, about 21 different aspects of National Education Policy 2020, about their implications and all that. But I would like to do it differently, in the sense, because I know that the National Education Policy is in public domain for the last 4 years. It was declared by the Government of India in July 2020. So almost 4 years have gone by. We have in policy expressed our vision. We have talked about certain structural changes which you might have already brought about, a couple of them. We have talked about the massification of higher education. We have talked about the different modes of delivery of higher education. How are we going to achieve our goal by way of resorting to multiple modes like face-to-face, hybrid mode, open and distance learning mode, online mode, and how are we going to use the technology. We have talked about the skilling, integration of values and ethics. We have talked about research, privatization, commercialization. How can we curb the commercialization in higher education? And we have also talked about the regulatory mechanism and effective governance. So these are the important aspects of the national education policy. But I believe that you are quite familiar with all this since this is in public domain for the last 4 years. So I do not want to spend this time sharing all that has been proposed in the national education policy in terms of programmatic, structural, and regulatory changes and their implications. You can ask me questions once I'm done with something which I consider would be more important for you to know. I would like to share with you some global trends actually. It will give you an idea how the higher education is shaping up across the globe in terms of the number of institutions, in terms of inclusivity, in terms of gender equality, social equalities, in terms of flexible learning pathways, quality assurance, qualification frameworks, financing of higher education, and what is the way forward. You may be aware that in Universal Declaration of Human Rights, which was adopted in 1948 after, World War II, we had made certain commitments. It was a historic moment when all the countries agreed on the freedoms and rights that deserve universal protection of every individual to live life freely, equally, and in dignity. The declaration outlines 30 rights and freedoms that belong to all of us, and it is expected that nobody can take away those rights and freedoms from us. There is an Article 26. I would like to draw your kind attention to that, which mentions that everyone has the right to education. And there are 4 assertions in that Article 26, which covers the entire spectrum of education, commencing from the pre-primary up to the research work. The first assertion is that education shall be free, at least in the elementary and fundamental stages. The second one is that elementary education shall be compulsory. And the third is that technical and professional education shall be made generally available. And the fourth one is that higher education shall be equally accessible to all on the basis of merit. So I think we need to look into the spirit of these 4 assertions that we have included in Article 26 of the declaration. And since then, since 1948, UNESCO has been championing the right to education at all levels. It is convinced that making education, and particularly higher education, freely accessible for all is essential. It believes that tuition-free public higher education is an important step in this direction. Free access to quality higher education may have significant implications on the future of every single country on the planet. Free access to quality higher education for all appears imminent for realizing the goal which is set up by the United Nations, which is known as the SDG 4 by 2030, Sustainable Development Goal number 4 actually. I was looking into a recent paper from the UNESCO which argues that removal of tuition fees in higher education increases the social demand for higher education and also the levels of educational attainments, and it is more so in developing economies like that of ours. I was also looking into a survey of about 146 countries which has been conducted by the UNESCO. And of these 146 countries, I found out that there are as many as 41 countries which have already mandated by law to provide free higher education. There are about 97 countries which do not offer any such guarantee for free higher education. And the remaining 8 member states have not provided that data because in those countries, decisions are not taken by the national governments, they are taken by the provincial governments, which they call the sub-national governments. The UNESCO survey further reveals that nearly half of the member states, particularly in Central Asia, Eastern Europe, Latin America, which are considered to be poorer countries actually, they provide free public higher education to their people. Even in North America, Western Europe and Southwest Asia, nearly 20% of the member states had mandated by law to provide free higher education. If we undertake the analysis of these countries by income groups, the income group analysis of countries reveal an interesting picture actually. About 20% of the low income and lower middle income countries, they are able to mandate a free higher education compared to 40% of the upper middle countries. And in contrast, I mean, you will be surprised that only 10% of the high income countries had mandated free higher education. So we need to understand that higher inequity in higher education would seriously impact the global development agenda. We all know that, I mean, the poorest have hardly any post-secondary education opportunities in low and middle income countries. There are gaps in enrollment rates in higher education between the richest and the poorest, and those gaps can reach up to 60 percentage points. Inequalities by income level entail gaps not only in enrollment rates, but even in the types of higher educational institutions they attend. If you find the participation rates of girls and the children coming from the marginalized section of the society, I would like to talk particularly about the girls. The girl enrollment in higher education has surpassed the boys enrollment in many countries. Even in our own countries, there are states like the state of Tamil Nadu, the state of Punjab, where the girls' participation rates have, I mean, girls' participation rate is higher than the participation rates of boys. But if you look their participation rates in the so-called market-oriented programs or in STEM, I mean science, technology, engineering, and medicine, you find the participation rates of girls is abysmally lower than that of boys. And if you go a little deeper into this aspect and try to ascertain the participation rates of girls and the children coming from the weaker sections of the society in premier institutions like the IITs, AIMS, ICERs in our country, you will find that the participation rates of these sections of the society is much lower than their counterpart. So is the, I mean, position of the persons with disabilities. In fact, we all know that potential to succeed in education of persons with disability is hindered by physical accessibility, limitation in teacher training and learning materials, financial restrictions, and prejudice and discrimination against persons with disability. The Global data report shows that the past decade has seen a significant growth in enrollment, although, millions around the world are still not having access to higher education. Enrollment has increased in all groupings, but at a different rates, as I had talked about it. The worldwide gross enrollment ratio in higher education has increased from 19% to about 40% in the last 20 years, in the last two and a half decades, actually. If you see your own gross enrollment ratio in higher education, that is a little higher than 27%, which is still lower than the gross enrollment, than the world's average, which is 40%. The total enrollment in higher education across the countries is 235 million. In India, the total enrollment in higher education is 41.4 million, according to the latest survey which has been brought about by the Ministry of Education. But the biggest increase in gross enrollment ratio in the last two and a half decades has been in Eastern and Central Asia. And about a third of enrollment worldwide is estimated to be in private higher educational institutions and two-thirds in public institutions. I was looking at the number of higher educational institutions, which will also give you the idea how the higher education has expanded. There are about 88,000 higher educational institutions which are in operation, actually. And half of the global total higher educational institutions are in Central and Southern Asia, and this was entirely due to us. We have added, you will be surprised to know that we have added more than 54,000 higher educational, we have added about 23,000 higher educational institutions in the last two and a half decades. Today we have 54,000, close to 54,000 higher educational institutions. Of them, we have 1,113 higher degree awarding higher educational institutions, which we categorize under institutions of national importance, central universities, state private universities, and institutions deemed to be universities. And apart from this, apart from these institutions, which are degree awarding institutions, we also have about 43,000 colleges which are offering undergraduate and postgraduate programs. And apart from these two sets of institutions, we also have some stand-alone institutions which are offering the certificate program and the diploma programs, actually. Now, if we talk about the quality in higher education, I would like to underline this very much, that quality in higher education is a multi-dimensional, multi-level, and dynamic concept, which relates to the contextual settings of an educational model. Quality of higher education usually varies across the globe. It varies across the countries. It varies, from state to state. It also varies from institution to institution. And if I would like to share one thing here, that there was a conference held in 2019 in China, where people tried to articulate quality in education, actually. But they could not agree to a universal definition of quality. And finally, they resorted to, they agreed that quality is a social construct, and therefore it will remain a moving target. The bar of the quality goes on and on and on automatically. So until this day, we have not been able to articulate quality in higher education, though we have put up various measures to ensure quality in education at all levels. And if global ranking is taken as a criterion for quality, there are only a few countries that continue to dominate at the international level. Global ranking has given rise to major concern of quality assurance. According to Global Convention on the Recognition of Qualifications Concerning Higher Education, quality assurance refers to an ongoing process by which the quality of higher education system, institution, or program is assessed by the competent authorities to assure all the stakeholders that acceptable educational standards are continuously being maintained and enhanced. I mean, there are large number of quality assurance bodies which are operating worldwide, and I was seeing this aspect. I noticed that more than 300 quality assurance bodies are there in the world. Several countries have more than one national or multiple regional, professional, and subject-specific quality assurance bodies. We have, I mean, at least three at the national level. One is the Board of Accreditation, which is accrediting the institutions offering the agriculture and allied discipline education. We have the National Board of Accreditation, which is into program accreditation. It has become an independent body now. Earlier, it used to be a wing of the All India Council for Technical Education. We have National Assessment and Accreditation Council, which is an inter-university center established by the University Grants Commission in 1994. Let me also talk about the qualification framework, which we have recently brought out. Professor Vimal might talk to you about it in greater detail. But I would like to share with you that the qualification framework represents a comprehensive policy framework defining all nationally recognized qualifications in higher education in terms of workload, in terms of levels, in terms of learning outcomes and profiles. It should be designed to be comprehensible with specific descriptors for each qualification, covering both its breadth and its depth. Breadth, when I say, I talk about the competencies associated with learning. And when I talk about the depth, I talk about the levels. There are at least 116 countries in the world which have already laid down the national qualification framework addressing higher education. And the majority of them are in the western part of the world. We did not have a national higher education qualification framework until 2023. UGC has now brought it out. In fact, qualification framework is a framework which facilitate the curriculum development and design of study programs. It also facilitates the students and graduate mobility. It also facilitates recognition of periods of study and credentials, actually. The Global Convention of the UN established universal principle for fair, transparent, and non-discriminatory recognition of higher education qualification. Recent trends, if you see in higher education, they reveal that institutions are working hard to come up with flexible learning pathways policy frameworks now. Learning as a lifelong experience requires quality education provision alongside flexible learning pathways. Because we know in education that each person's learning trajectory is unique and it involves innumerable formal and informal learning experiences. And that is possible only when we have the learning, flexible learning pathways. We have also attempted that in our national education policy. Because we believe that it can widen participation in higher education. It can provide better responsiveness to diverse students' needs. It can improve general level of education in society. It can help in career progression, and it can strengthen equity in progression of studies, and it can, of course, reduce the dropout rates, and thus it can increase completion of studies. I found out there are about 75 countries which have put in place the policy that supports flexible learning pathways with varying degrees. And they have policies which we are yet to bring out. Policy on national qualification framework, we have done it. Policy on information and guidance for students. Policy on credit accumulation and transfer systems. Policy on recognition and validation of prior learning. Policy for lifelong learning. And separate national policy for flexible learning pathways. There are at least about a dozen pathways to enter higher education across the world. So if I move on to the other aspect, which is about the financing of higher education, we find that everywhere the enrollment in higher education is increasing. The number of and diversity of the service providers also continues to grow, but adequate financing has become a tragedy actually. The decreasing funding from the states and the federal governments are forcing the universities and the colleges to look elsewhere for funding, and they are finding it very difficult. Universities are required to collaborate with private business houses to mobilize their resources. Alongside, they are also forced to focus on consultancies. A special focus is given for the empowerment of faculty so that they can develop exciting proposals and they can bring in grants to the individual institutions to support them financially. That kind of culture is hugely missing in our system actually. Institutions are finding it extremely difficult to survive now. There is another important issue, I think, which we need to understand. This relates to the diversification of our campuses in terms of student population, in terms of faculty recruitment, and in terms of offerings of the programs. I think we need to recognize the need to extend educational opportunities to students of all background. We also need to, diversify our programs. And this diversification of campuses in terms of students, in terms of faculty recruitment, and in terms of programs is a huge challenge before us. Traditionally, the term university student explicitly refers to children in the age cohort of 18 to 24, entering after completing grade 12. But in the present era, people need to upskill and reskill themselves to prepare for the future jobs. And therefore, we have different kinds of students coming to the campuses of the higher educational institutions all over the world. And they are named as non-traditional students. And therefore, what is needed is that universities and colleges, they should design a special program for these non-traditional students. This is another challenge. The another challenge is about the use of the information and communication technological tools, actually. There is a race going on between education and technology, and this race will continue to accelerate. The role of technology in higher learning is not only in equipping students with information, but also in bridging access to quality education. And one technology that brings an outsized potential to encourage creativity, curiosity, and collaboration is the artificial intelligence. Universities and colleges should leverage artificial intelligence to offload time-sensitive academic and administrative tasks, improve IT processes, and boost learning experiences. Universities should have a clear artificial intelligence strategy in place. Online learning is a broad term that encompasses other modes of learning such as blended learning, e-learning, hybrid learning. It is a subcategory of digital learning that simply means the use of online tools for learning. And the very nature of online learning, as well as technological advancements, they explain the reasons why it is becoming so prevalent. The new generation of students, you would have all, recognized it. They are accustomed to using technology from a younger age, and thus they are very comfortable using technological tools to acquire knowledge and skills. I think we have a challenge now to perfect this mode of delivery in every sense of the word. MOOCs are open-line courses created for a large number of participants. They provide free access and can be accessed anytime, anywhere by anyone if they have an internet connection. There are several benefits of MOOCs: unlimited enrollment, fewer requirements, and accessibility on a global scale. They can be offered at a minimum cost, so they are the safest bet to turn the tide of overwhelming cost of higher education. Another interesting fact is that MOOCs are not fixed into the traditional semester model of universities. This means students can start a course at any time and which can be of any length. Good universities are increasingly launching MOOCs not only to stay ahead of the curve, but also to improve access to education. Another tool, IT tool, which is becoming more prevalent and which is considered as a game changer in higher education is the virtual reality. It involves, educators are increasingly looking into ways to incorporate virtual reality into pedagogical approaches because of the benefit it delivers to students. Now the virtual reality is used for offering the programs in exact sciences actually. And therefore, universities should embrace the use of the VR technology, virtual reality technology, as it enables remote students to take part in lab exercises in an online mode. I believe that Professor Vimal might even be talking to you about machine learning, means enabling machines to take decisions, and deep learning, which is building and training deep neural networks. Some time ago, I think in the 60s, a thought crossed the mind of one of the professors here in the Western world that when men can take a decision on the basis of information, why the machine cannot take that decision? If we feed the machine with the facts and figures, the machine can also take decisions. That is what is all about machine learning now. So people are working at it. These are the newer tools of technology, which are the parts of the artificial intelligence, like machine learning and deep learning, which is building and training deep neural networks. And so the future, which we call the fourth industrial revolution, that is impelling us to make use of artificial intelligence, deep learning, machine learning, and other emerging technologies, which have created skill gaps across all industries. And as technology advances, education system should metamorphose, anticipate, and prepare for the impact of digital on the workforce. And for this reason, there is an urgent need to reimagine degree programs, courses, and curricula in general to meet the needs of the modern learners, while keeping pace with the evolving workforce and future trends in higher education. Now, this is bringing outcome-based and competency-based education into focus. Universities ought to focus on molding future employees by imparting knowledge, skills, and competencies that are demanded in the labor market and that are needed in the modern world. There are 9 top trends which I would like to share with you now. And we must prepare for that. And that preparation should be undertaken in each and every institution. And we as individuals, we as teachers, should find a role for ourselves insofar as these trends are concerned, so that we can not only ensure our relevance in the system, but we can take an active part in the implementation of the national education policy that we have brought out. What are these 9 trends? The first and the foremost trend which comes to my mind is the diversity in higher education. And I have already talked about it, diversification in terms of students, number of students, in terms of faculty, and in terms of the curricular provisions. The another trend is increase in non-traditional students. I mean, because of these technological advancements, people in the job would find themselves inadequate, and therefore they would like to come back to the campuses to upskill and reskill themselves, and for which we need to create adequate provisions. The third trend is the popularity of artificial intelligence, machine learning, and deep learning. What kind of orientation do we provide to our existing curricular provisions to embrace these kinds of learning and prepare the workforce which would be needed by the modern world? The fourth one is about the pervasiveness of online learning. I'm aware of the fact that the University Grants Commission has granted permission to several universities which can offer online programs on 100% basis. The UGC has brought out a regulation, I think, in 2023 about it. And therefore, we need to perfect the wherewithal that is required for offering an online program. The another trend is about the dominance of virtual reality in education. There was a time when the universities were issued a fiat not to offer the programs which involve the practical work through online mode. But with the use of virtual reality tools, now that is a possibility, and therefore we should prepare for that. The another trend is about more focus on closing the skill gaps that we have. Another one is the rise of the massive open online courses. Enrollment of international students. I mean, our national education policy says that each and every institution has to have an office exclusively for handling the issues of the international students and for the purposes of attracting more number of foreign students on our campuses. And the ninth trend, which is a very vital thing, is about the growing need for alternate funding options. So these are the nine things which I thought that I would like to share with you. Now the question arises, where do we stand insofar as higher education is concerned? And I have talked about different scenario across the globe insofar as higher education is concerned. I think we need to take some insights from those trends so that we do not lag behind. India provides free higher education to some select group of persons. Most centrally funded higher educational institutions in our country are mandated to provide free higher education to the children belonging to the scheduled castes, scheduled tribes, and OBC categories. There are also some states in India which have mandated similar provision for free higher education up to the postgraduate level for girls and socially deprived sections of their domicile. They have to have the domicile of those states. Universal access to quality higher education essentially hinges on the ability of the state to provide quality higher education at an affordable cost, if not free. And for long, we have had a policy of providing higher education either through public institutions or through grant-in-aid institutions. These institutions were not motivated to make a profit, and thus with the government support, they were providing higher education at an affordable cost for nearly half a century since independence. But this situation had changed drastically since 1990s. I mean, from the time of economic liberalization, privatization, and globalization. This has led to slow but steady withdrawal of the state from higher education. And it has led to rapid rise in high fee charging higher educational institutions. There are institutions, I mean, you may be aware of them, which are charging exorbitantly, actually. It's not possible for a common person to access education from those institutions. Though this process started with professional, technical, and medical education, but it has soon engulfed all kinds and all types of higher education. The trend now manifests in public higher educational institutions as well, because of the poor funding by the federal government and the state governments. They have resorted to so-called self-financing programs, which are pretty expensive, which are beyond the reach of a common child. So cost recovery in Indian higher education has now become a norm than an exception. That is what I wanted to tell you. Most of our higher educational institutions, unfortunately, they fall in the category of learning system. This is also a harsh reality. What does it mean? It means that the knowledge is created elsewhere, but it is transmitted and certified on the campuses of our large number of institutions. For long, we did not have the National Higher Education Qualification, nor we have National Credit Framework, nor we had National Skill Qualification Framework. But now we have come up with these frameworks. We all know that higher education landscape is rapidly changing, and the sector is being hit from all sides by social, curriculum, technological, and financial changes. Institutions that want to maintain an edge over others should be prepared to adapt these emerging trends in higher education. They should heavily invest in research to come up with innovative yet cheaper ways to adopt emerging technologies. It means that institutions will have to work hard to give futuristic orientation to their programs. So what are the key insights actually that we get? It's quite obvious that higher education globally has undergone significant shifts in recent years. This is one general insight that we receive. It may not be wholly correct to generalize about the broad landscape of higher education with more than 88,000 higher educational institutions and 235 million students. But higher education has been primarily influenced by a series of economic and social factors. And the challenges include declining enrollment in certain areas of studies, rising cost, reduced revenues. I mean, the internal recovery is not as much as is required, along with increased inflation. Another challenge that we have been facing across all sets of institutions, be it institutions of national importance or central universities or state public universities, is the scarcity of qualified faculty. Universities do not have the capacity to provide competitive packages to talented workforce, and consequently they lose out talented workforce to other organizations. This is not the scenario in our country alone. This is an international phenomenon. I'm sitting in a place here in the United States wherein the kind of pay packages which are provided to the technocrats is much higher than the pay packages provided to the teachers teaching in universities like Stanford and University of California at Berkeley. Of course, I mean, Berkeley is a public university. Of course, Stanford is a private university. We need not compare both. But this is what is happening all over the world, actually. And one can see fluctuating trends in enrollment due to inverse relationship between enrollment and economic performance. When economy does well, enrollment takes a dip. And when economy struggles, enrollment rises because prospective candidates choose to go back to campuses to improve their qualifications and gain new skills. Another key insight which we can have is that higher education doesn't seem to be a priority agenda for most of the countries. Higher education is differentiated with public and private institutions with vastly differing resources and serving different needs. And this is true within the country and across the borders. In fact, much in higher education depends upon the political commitment and economic realities. There are little chances of increased public allocation to higher education. We have been talking about 6% of the GDP spending on education since Kothari Commission's time of 1966. And until this day, we have not been able to reach that goal. Poorly funded institutions which are surviving only on internal recoveries are going to suffer the most in every aspect. Most institutions will push in for market-oriented courses, and as a result of which they are going to undermine the value of the programs relating to humanities and social sciences and languages. And if it continues to grow, then we are going to become a very weak society. What I mean to say is that we should not undermine the programs relating to humanities and social sciences and languages. They are as important as the programs which we call the market-oriented programs. So most institutions will push in for market-oriented courses. That will be a bad thing insofar as higher education is concerned. In this ever-changing job market scenario, colleges and universities would be facing the crucial task of enhancing the alignment between education and training to meet the evolving demand of both employers and students. And surprisingly, this change is not going to be uniform or steady. There might be some areas that are going to grow, while others might shrink. This is a big danger. As I have talked about the artificial intelligence, machine learning, and deep learning, I mean, these kinds of areas are going to grow in times to come, and others are going to shrink. That is what we have witnessed in our own system. When we realized that the enrollment in basic sciences is declining in our universities and colleges, we decided to set up Indian Institute of Science Education and Research. I mean, one can have different opinions about that. One can argue in support of it, and one can argue against it. One can say that why should we create a parallel structure by undermining the position of the already existing institutions? Why can't we, why have we not strengthened the basic sciences in already existing institutions of higher learning? Why have we created a parallel structure? I mean, one can argue either way. There might be some areas that are going to grow, and while others might shrink. And therefore, the responsibility for the higher education leaders is to envision them and stay in front of these anticipated shifts. The key lies in continuous adaptation and evaluation of educational offerings. It would require a dynamic approach in this ever-evolving economic landscape. There may be some professions which might show a surge in job demand. And if we do not anticipate such high opportunity programs and prepare workforce for them, that gap may be filled temporarily by underqualified individuals, as it happens during the initial period of ICT invasion in 80s. High opportunity programs may be healthcare, support personal care and support services, occupational therapists, community and social services, behavioral sciences, human resource management, law enforcement agencies, cyber security, farming, sales and related services, software developers, etc. These are going to be the high opportunity programs. The healthcare and social assistance sectors are poised for the most rapid growth because of the growing trends of the life expectancy all over the world. Such workforce would be required in large number in places where older population is increasing. Similarly, computer and mathematical occupations are projected to experience significantly above average growth because of, automation and artificial intelligence. There is already a huge crisis of identity in higher education. Higher education leaders seeking to maintain and grow enrollment in the current landscape must be prepared to communicate the value of higher education in general, as well as the value proposition for their brand and program outcomes. Universities and colleges that best communicate their brand value are most likely to maintain and grow enrollment. Higher education must create pathways and learning experiences that are similarly adaptable and support the continuous and evolving needs of the modern society. Perhaps most important, the institutions that will thrive in new landscape will be those that align programs with career outcomes and that are committed to creating highly employable graduates. In this context, colleges and universities must step up to serve the needs of students coming from diverse backgrounds, regardless of their chosen path to an education, and focus programs that are flexible and durable. All this needs to be done from micro level to macro level. The current trends highlight the need for a reimagined approach to our curricular provisions, funding for students, student supports, and operational management. So these are the global changes, these are the national challenges, and therefore what we need to do is that we have an opportunity today that under the aegis of this National Education Policy 2020, I think we can align our programs with the international trends, because higher education is a sector which cannot afford to remain aloof from what is happening around the world. This is the difference between the school education and the higher education. We have to move with the world actually. And in order to do that, what we need to do is that we not only have to provide futuristic orientation to our programs, but we also shall have to mobilize resources so as to ensure that children from the marginalized sections of the society are not left behind. And for that, I think we need to impress upon the political executives and the bureaucracy to provide adequate funding to support the education of the children who are not so fortunate, to access higher education. While on the one hand, quality remains a challenge, But on the other hand, accessibility also continues to be a challenge in our setting. There are children, large number of children. If you look at the transition rates in India from primary to upper primary and upper primary to secondary and secondary to the post-secondary, there are very heavy casualties. And in fact, at some point in time, we used to say that in our country, every class happens to be a terminal class. Actually, children leave out. Large number of children were leaving out after lower primary. Then some of them were leaving after upper primary and in secondary. Transition rate is still continues to be very low insofar as higher education is concerned. I mean, from the secondary sector to the post-secondary sector. And therefore, we need to take care of all these aspects and we need to strengthen our system. We have made some progress, but I think a lot more needs to be done. We have to traverse a long distance, and for which we require visionary leadership in higher education. We need people who can anticipate these trends and who can prepare the institutions to offer the kinds of programs which are needed by the modern world, because we have the responsibility of preparing the children for tomorrow's world. And that tomorrow's world is not known to us. What would be the shape of the world in 10 years from hence or 15 years from hence? It's very difficult to visualize. But I would like to close by saying that there are groups which I have interacted with in United States of America, which are busy preparing the curriculum that they are anticipating would be required in in 25 years from hence. And it was a very interesting experience for me to interact with that group. And when I asked them the question that how come they can visualize what would be the shape of the world in 20 years from hence, they said that that is what the visionary leadership is required and we are working for it. I mean, that was a very long discussion. I would like to share that sometime later with you. So today I thought that I would like to give you the flavor of the global trends of higher education. What are the key insights and where do we stand? I have told you in brief, insofar as Indian higher education system is concerned, the kind of changes that we have anticipated, the intents that we have expressed in the national education policy. I hope that with the support of all the fellows like you, I mean, we would be able to make a good progress in the in Indian higher education. I have not talked about the implications of the intents that we have expressed in the national education policy, though I have referred to about 21 aspects that we have expressed in that have caught the attention of the National Education Policy 2020. But if you wish, if you have any questions relating to that, I would love to answer to your questions. Now I would like to close. I think I have taken too long. So over to Professor Vimal. Professor Vimal,
Yeah,
now
thank you so much, sir, for
the floor is yours now.
thank you. And I think you have also given us the entire global perspective and how we have to look our NEP from that way, and we have to prepare our students in a holistic manner. So technology and other things, I think we'll have the detailed module, but today you have given an overview of all these changes that we have to prepare ourselves to. So thank you so much, sir. Can we have some couple of questions? I think those who wish to ask, they can either raise your hand or write it in the chat box. We'll unmute you. So one question is already there, sir, from Ananti, that like USA, education should be free of cost in India, like it should be actually unlike USA. Education should be free of cost in India, like developing countries. Otherwise, we will be in developing phase only and not acquire the developed status. So what is your observation on that?
I have already, I mean, reflected on that aspect. We were providing almost free higher education until the time of economic liberalization, which took place in 1990. We had two sets of institutions. We had publicly funded institutions and grant-in-aid institutions. But after that, because of the weak resources, what has happened is that we had opened up the sector for private service providers, and as a result of which the higher education has become more expensive. Some states, as I have reflected, are still providing free higher education to the girl students and to the children belonging to the scheduled caste, scheduled tribes, and OBC categories, but they have to have the domicile of that state. And that is also not prevalent across all the states in our country. This is a huge challenge, actually. I think that is the best way. I mean, I have given you the example that there are out of that 146 member states of UNESCO, close to 40 countries, they are providing, they have mandated by law free higher education. That can be thought of, provided we accord the top priority to education. But I cannot visualize that. It's not going to happen. Let us be very realistic. What we need to do is that we need to provide large number of scholarships to students who can access education free of charge. I mean, even from the private institutions, there are multiple factors in accessing higher education. The geographical location of educational institution is also one of the important issues, actually. Children who do not have adequate resources, they cannot move out of their homes because of the paucity of resources. So I think we will have to resort to multiple ways of handling this issue of financing of higher education. Both the governments, I mean the federal government and the provincial governments, they have to come on the same page. They need to accord the top priority to higher education. They need to provide financial assistance to the students. They need to provide greater assistance to the individual institutions in terms of grants. Only then it can be made possible. And if some countries have done it, I think why can't we also do that? We can also do it, but it requires political commitment of the highest order. You need to love the people of your country to do that.
Thank you, sir.
That is what is missing, actually.
Who is here, Shrutika? Can we unmute Dr. Subramaniam? He wants to
And
ask.
let me also make this point that unless we strengthen the higher education and unless we value the merit, unless the higher education system is driven by meritocracy, we cannot become a strong nation, actually. That is also a fact.
You mentioned this in Article 26 that this is where we start actually our.
Right. But it requires greater political commitment.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, please. You can ask Subramaniam.
Sir, I am Dr. Subramaniam.
Yes, please.
My question is that I am teaching in higher education, and when students come at this level, they are so equipped with the basic education in the schools that it is very difficult for us as a teacher to implement all the NEP policy or skill development. And I have been to some schools where the teachers are very reluctant to implement NEP or skill development. So how can we cope up with such a what we call obstacles, or you can say the reluctancy of people to implement NEP?
Your question, if I have understood it rightly, has got two aspects actually.
Yes,
One
sir.
is that the children you are getting are ill-equipped,
Yes, sir.
isn't it?
Absolutely.
Okay. Okay. So we are in the habit of shifting the responsibility actually. The teachers teaching in the upper primary sections, they say that the child is not prepared well for upper primary. And when he goes to the secondary sector's uh, teacher says that the child is not well prepared to um, for the secondary sector. Uh, and there is a reason for that. I missed that point actually. We have got three sectors in education. One is the elementary education, another is secondary education, and the third one is post-secondary, which we call higher education. All these sectors have been working in isolation as if they have nothing to do with each other. This is very unfortunate. And for the first time, this aspect was highlighted by Kothari Commission. And the commission went to the extent of saying that unless uh, we support each and unless we integrate all these three sectors, we cannot make desirable changes in education at any level. And therefore, the higher education sector should have the responsibility because everything flows from the higher education sector. They need to interact with the secondary sector and also to the elementary sector with a view to ensuring that the children are well prepared and that the kind of education they receive in the lower sectors of education is linked in such a hierarchical manner so that you get well prepared children when when they come to you for the undergraduate program or the post or subsequently for the postgraduate program. That is what is needed. This is one aspect. The second thing is that we have the examples. We have some public institutions where we admit the children coming from the marginalized sections of the society. They devote first 2 semesters um, exclusively for these children to help them overcome the kind of inadequacies that they have. And therefore, if each institution follows those, let me name those institutions. In IITs, we have a system actually, wherein the children coming from SCs, STs, and weaker sections, they are given a special remedial programs with a view to helping them overcome the kind of inadequacies that they possess. And therefore, we should create some such provisions on the campuses of each and every institution. If a child is not proficient in a language, we should not ridicule that child. We should rather help him or her to overcome that deficiency. So that is a doable proposition provided we understand the value of it and we have a commitment towards it. That can be done. This is one thing. The second thing, what was the second question? Second part of your question?
The teachers are not able they are not willing, the reluctancy of the teachers.
In the implementation of national education policy, no. See, once we have made a commitment, see, this is a wonderful opportunity for us to raise the bar. And therefore reluctance cannot be an option for any one of us. I think we should, which is why I have said right in the beginning that each one of us has a duty towards the implementation of the national education policy. Let me tell you, all these recommendations will not be implemented. It never happens. If you analyze the earlier 2 policies, you would find that there were certain recommendations which were not implemented. This is going to happen with this policy as well. But whatever is doable within the existing circumstances must be done. And each one of us must play an active role in the implementation of those provisions which are doable. See, if I ask you, I mean, to set up Higher Education Commission of India, or if I ask you to set up the 4 verticals of the Higher Education Commission of India in the name of General Education Council and in the name of Higher Education Grants Council and in the name of National Accreditation Council, you cannot do that because that would require a legislative framework. That is the responsibility of the federal government to do that. And but whatever you can do, for instance, if you are mandated to revisit the choice-based credit system, you should do it in your institution. If you are required to integrate the various levels of the national skill qualification framework, you can do it depending upon the wherewithal that you have in your institution, and you should do that. See, those kinds of things which you can do at your level, you must do it. There is a division. Some works would be done by the government, some would be done by the individual institution. And therefore, we should mobilize. You will always have the reticent members in the faculty who would not come forward and who would express their reluctance. But the leadership should be so inspiring that they must mobilize those reticent members of the society to come forward and do it. I would be talking about it in my second lecture on leadership. So today I do not want to give you that example of Pandit Sundarlal Bahuguna and the father of the nation, Mahatma Gandhi. I mean, they had that kind of a power to mobilize the most reticent member of the society to join them in that movement, the Chipko movement, which was launched by Pandit Sundarlal Bahuguna. So the leader should have that ability to mobilize each and every member of the faculty to do that.
And I
And
think
it is to the and Vimal, it is to the advantage of the individual faculty if they find a role for themselves in the implementation of the national education policy. It will add to their qualifications. I would ask each one of you to write a critical piece highlighting the implications and providing the solutions for those kinds of things. That will add to your qualifications. The greatest advantage that we teachers have in this profession doesn't make us wealthy, of course, but it has given us a special privilege that whatever little we do, it adds to our qualifications. If you, I mean, provide good result to the institution, it adds to your qualifications. If you write a good research paper, if you write a critical piece in the newspaper, it adds to your qualifications. That kind of privilege is not in each and every job which we have, and we must make the most out of it. Okay.
Thank you, sir. And I'll add that this reluctancy can also be decreased. Please, once you have attended this program, motivate your other fellow colleagues also to join such programs. And once they come here, we will have definitely the motivation coming to understand the policy and then obviously try to introspect and put it in a right spirit.
See, you always feel reluctant to rise early morning from the bed. Okay.
Reluctancy is there in every change actually. Yeah.
But you do rise. So learn from the life.
So there's one observation maybe I can say is and question how new technological updates like AI and virtual learning is going to impact the education system in our country. So very briefly you can tell because we'll have a detailed session on the ICT as well.
No, it has already impacted. And people are working very hard actually on these IT tools. For instance, if you use the virtual reality tools, you can make the basic sciences programs also available online, which is not a mean achievement. We were not able to do it earlier. And therefore it is going to revolutionize. It has already revolutionized higher education, but it is going to have a massive impact on the higher education. And which is why I had said more than twice that we need to embrace these new technological advancements. We must provide futuristic orientation to our existing curricular provisions so that we keep pace with the technological advancements. And I use the word race, that there is a race between education and technology. And this race will accelerate. And if we do not embrace them, if we do not make them the part of our existing curricular provisions, we would be lagged behind. So they are going to make a huge, they have already made a huge impact actually. But there are going to be further changes. For instance, we do not have the way AI is impacting now. The machine learning is going to impact in a big way, and the deep learning is going to be making even a higher impact. And we never know that what is going to be the new form of technology which will take us to even a higher pedestal. And therefore, my advice to all of you would be that you should prepare yourself well. You should not be caught unaware by these technological advancements, like people of my generation were caught unaware by the technology in mid 80s or early 80s. We were caught absolutely unaware. We were using what kind of things we were using? We were using the transparencies actually
The
at that
overhead
point in time.
projectors, yeah.
The overhead projectors, and even the overhead projectors were not available in the institutions. We used to borrow it from somewhere else if we were to make a presentation before for an audience. So we were at that stage. But now the children who are coming to you are so advanced actually. I mean, I get so surprised. When I came here last time, my grandson, who was in who- grade one actually, he came to me and he said, Dadu, I will teach you the Chat GPT. Do you know Chat GPT? I had not heard about Chat GPT then, a year ago. A year ago. And that little child actually. But he has that privilege because he's given the in grade one. Can you believe it that they provide the computers, laptops to the children? So
Today's generation too is actually
yeah, they are much
born
more
with
knowledgeable.
these gadgets. So
They are much more knowledgeable than us.
one concern, sir, here, maybe this is the last question that we'll take is from Harshita, that who is maybe concerning it from the rural education point of view, that we don't have
Okay.
such type of infrastructure, technology base. So how do we embrace technology advancement? So your answer before that, I will start and comment on Harshita is, Harshita, you have already embraced technology once you're here. So think for the means with the apps, which you don't require the high-end type of those smart boards. So there are some very cheap solutions which are there in your smartphones, which you can use, and just 4 or 5 gadgets with your students as group. So even if not every student is having, put them into group work, and that's how you can begin. So if you like to, yeah, add. Sorry, I
I
that
mean,
privilege to.
these variations will remain there actually, and which is why I said that if we are resorting to the use of the new technology, I think the onus lies on the service providers. They not only should provide these facilities I mean, on the campuses of their institution, they should also see that these students also have access to those, tools. That is what is needed. I have given you the example that here they provide the you cannot compare. I mean, X country with Y country, but whatever limited resources do we have under those conditions, we have to see what best can be provided and what best can be made available.
Thank you, sir. Hope
These are
Harshita
the
will
conclusions.
try to, and we'll have more session. Don't worry, today is just the beginning. So I'll again thank Professor Prakash sir profusely for giving this overview on not only the NEP pointers, but how it can be related to the global changes, and then how we as academic community, we have to now look for the changes around this. And this is the golden opportunity, and right from top to institutional level to the teachers level, I think we all have to see and introspect where all the changes required, and we all have to help each other. It's not that we'll wait for some regulation coming and this is what I think in every classroom the change can be brought, and that is what I think we'll be covering, the different aspects which are highlighted in the 10 modules. So thank you so much, sir, and we will be looking forward to your more fruitful sessions in the coming days. We'll tell you the schedule as per your convenience, sir. So thank you so much, and thanks all the participants to have joined. And sorry, there was some technical glitch today. Team used the not the 500 license but 100. So some of you could not join on Zoom, but we will be sharing. We have already shared the YouTube link with you, and even if you have not joined it right now, we will be providing this YouTube access. But those who are now watching on the YouTube and could not attend on Zoom, please fill up the feedback form so that we know you have watched that. And tomorrow, please check your mail. We'll be sending a new link of Zoom. Please join from that. We will not be using this very particular link.
Vimal,
Yes.
would you permit me to to share, I mean, one of the quotes of
Sir, please, most welcome. Yeah.
Bertrand Russell, actually.
Yeah.
He was a mathematician. He was a British mathematician, but he got the Nobel Prize in Literature in 1950, interestingly. See the capacity of the human beings. Mathematician getting Nobel Prize in Literature. And he talked about freedom in education, actually, that I would like to quote. And I quote, "Freedom in education has many aspects. There is, first of all, freedom to learn and not to learn.
Achha.
Then there is a freedom as to what to learn and what not to learn. And in later education, there is a freedom of opinion." And he also said that the opinions that are held with passion are always those for which no good ground exists. And the passion is the measure of the holder's lack of rational conviction. And he closes by saying, opinions in politics and religion are almost always held passionately, and for which there are no grounds exist, unquote. So I think we should derive some lesson and some inspiration from this very important quote of Bertrand Russell, actually, which is very apt insofar as education is concerned. I mean, he's saying that
Can relate it with the adult learners and the school education.
I mean, he talks about
yeah.
freedom in education, and he says that it has got many aspects. Freedom to learn and freedom not to learn.
Yeah. And even timing, sir.
And
I
freedom
want to learn, but then not right now. I want to learn it later.
and freedom
Yeah, Bharam.
and freedom what to learn and what not to learn.
What not to learn. So I think that all flexibility is being provided in our national education policy.
So
With
what a beautiful quote
yeah.
actually from such a great man. Huh? Okay, so
So
I wish you all the very best and great good luck, and see you next time in my second lecture. Okay, bye-bye. Take care.
thank you so much, sir. And to all dear colleagues, we will be meeting again tomorrow at 5 p.m. and we'll have more sessions in the line, as I told you, from the various modules. So any query, I hope you are there in the WhatsApp group. If not, the TLC office number is there with all of you. Let me just share it again. Shrutika, if you're there, you can share it in chat. And so any issue that
Yes,
you're
ma'am.
facing, please drop a message to the WhatsApp number, office WhatsApp number, and my team will get back to you and see that every query is resolved. Fine. So with these words, I wish you all the very best for the remaining part of the day. Do enjoy good, healthy dinner with your family and friends wherever you are. And tomorrow again, we'll be meeting at 5 p.m. More enriching sessions by various experts coming. So thank you so much and goodbye and good night and namaskar.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. Thank you so
Thank you,
much.
Mamta, so much for joining. And today I actually took, but from tomorrow onwards, I'll be looking forward to your all help for taking the session further. So thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you all. I can see Viniti also joined.
Yeah.
Yes, with you
Aha.
are
I'm also there.
Hi, Viniti.
throughout.
Thanks for joining. I thought you were busy till 4th April, but you could join. So thank you so much. So thank you.
Tomorrow, ma'am, going for a PG field tour, taking the final year and the PG group.
So that's why we have formed a team, because अब तो हर महीने हमें 2 program करने हैं. So Sarita is a good support to me, and that's why we are able to take this, and we keep on forming different teams in different batches. So thank you, Mamta and Viniti and Narendraji, for joining in this very particular.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank
You're
you so
welcome, ma'am. Thank you.
Sarita कुछ ऐड करेगी?
नहीं, आपने सब कुछ बोल ही दिया है. So even
हमारा
from the
ये
part.
होता है, बोलते हैं कि नहीं आना है और फिर भी हम सारे आगे बैठ जाते हैं. So that's the passion I think we all are having. So
from the participants, I would like to just put that after this program is over, if any of you is interested in the organization, you can just respond to Professor Vimal, and we will take you in the organizing team, because we
yeah,
do need supportive people for
we
this.
need supportive people. So, and anyhow, we'll also like to identify, because the more, so be interactive. That's another incentive that our team can give, because this center we are, I take it like it is by the teachers and for the teachers. So it has to be a collective effort, that what all you need to learn. And we have this platform which we have grown over the years with stalwarts like Professor Prakash sir, Professor Bakshi sir, Professor Jaswinder sir, who was principal before now. And it's a long, more than a decade work that we have done. And Sarita can recall the entire teacher kit and EPG Pathshala and all. So it's like a good journey, and more journey to take now, because the next 3 years are going to be really hectic, and we are really looking for the positive colleagues who can help us in this organizing committee. Not
So
only
we
this,
are,
so
we
many.
are all learning the way Professor Bakshi had said, that I want to learn more. So I think that should be with that motto. I think we are all moving in our life, and here too. And this has been the best forum for me. And as I can see from the response of many others, that this is a forum where many of us have actually grown. And that's the comment that I've got from so many of the participants, that they have gone so many steps forward from here. So this is a forum which is a perfect platform for many of us to go in whatever direction, because the kind of programs that are held over here. So whatever direction you want, you can take from here and grow in that field. So
और
I
एक
think.
में सरिता ऑफ द, वी आर ऑलरेडी गेटिंग लेट, बट अभी ये बात चली तो कल एक डॉक्टर अनीता फ्रॉम हिमाचल प्रदेश, शी वाज इन दिल्ली, एंड देन थ्रू समवन शी फाउंड आउट द नंबर. वो AIFDP किया था अभी उसने, तो कि आई विल she postponed her operation also, that पहले मैं दिल्ली जाके अपना ये पहले तो कोर्स कंप्लीट करूं, and then she came to Delhi and then कि मैडम से मिला, तो she came to visit at my center. It was so nice of her. I was like truly delighted. So
Ma'am, so here I'd like to add that the hand holding you are doing with Mamta and myself, I think both of us would like to say that we feel honored to be a part of the team of achievers. You all are such big achievers, and I think both of us will feel very honored to be part of your team.
नहीं कुछ
I
अचीवर्स
think-
नहीं है, हम बस वी आर जस्ट डूइंग
मैम यही तो आपकी मॉडेस्टी है कि आप ये कह रही हैं, बट हमारी नजर से देखिए ना, तो हमें लगता है कि आपने
from you also. You're a great motivator for us, just like Sarita ma'am told that we are
Yes.
learning a lot from you people.
लॉट्स एंड लॉट्स, मतलब आपके संग एक सबसे बड़ी चीज जो मैं देखती हूँ कि आपके लिए भी पूरा दिन रहा है मैम, कॉलेज भी रहा, घर भी रहा, आपका अपना भी है, बट द वे यू आर फोकस्ड एंड द वे यू मूव फॉरवर्ड, मतलब सीखना है हमें भी इस उम्र पे। आप मतलब अभी चाहे जो भी कुछ है, लेकिन से 2-3 साल में हम भी रिटायर हो जाएंगे, बट हमें सीखना है अभी भी कि हाउ डू यू take things forward with, you know, all your grit and all your confidence and so much of hand holding. The best part is that कि आप इतना ज्यादा सबको लेके संग चलते हैं ना मैम।
मैं एक चीज कहूँ डॉक्टर विनीति, विमल के बारे में, अगर आप ये कह रहे हो हैंड होल्डिंग, तो विमल का एक चीज मैं कहना चाहूंगी। नाउ शी सच अ गुड फ्रेंड, आई कैन टेक एनी लिबर्टी विद हर, दैट विमल अगर किसी का हाथ पकड़ लेती है और वो सिंसियरली काम करता है तो वो छोड़ती नहीं है, आप कितना छोड़ाना चाहो।
नहीं, क्यों छोड़ेंगी वो? शी शुड नॉट, व्हाई वुड शी, यू नो,
because that's why I am able to then do more work. लगता है कि let me keep on taking
I'm a perfect example of that.
So good, that's so good. आपको ऐसे dedicated workers मिल जाए तो फिर आपकी जर्नी और इंटरेस्टिंग और एंटरटेनिंग हो जाती है ना मैम, दैट इज द थिंग।
We actually enjoy now this phase. वो लगता है कि हाँ क्लास भी हो गई, ये भी हो गया, and then this part is something that
या हम लोग का भी वो निकल रहा है मैम, आपके थैंक्स टू यू वो अब हमारा शुरू हुआ है, लाइक नाउ कमिंग आफ्टर क्लास, तो वे दिन में ऑनलाइन भी हो गई, ऑफलाइन भी हो गई, फिर हम लोगों ने भी बहुत सीखा है आपके।
सीखा, and we are doing in our college.
we all learn from each other, so that's how we are, yeah. और खुद नहीं अगर हम चेंज होंगे तो how can we motivate others also, so that is
नहीं, and another thing is this is there also मैम कि अगर कुछ डाउट होता है ना तो आई थिंक कि मैम से या आपकी टीम से पूछ लो तो कुछ ना कुछ एक जवाब मिल ही जाएगा, किसी ट्रबल शूटिंग हो जाएगी किसी तरीके की। तो आपसे तो वो मुझे सब्जेक्ट स्पेसिफिक बेंचमार्किंग डिस्कस करनी है मैम।
आते हैं, अलीगढ़ आते हैं, हाँ
आइए।
So let's plan now. We will be having some offline provision also, so let's see how we can take it further. Yeah, definitely.
Because chemistry में तो subject specific benchmarking हो जाए तो I think
मैम तो रोजाना
chemistry we
हर
can have,
department
yeah, many more, and even in other subjects teachers can join in the group, try to see ki what are the modalities we have to change in NEP, then how you can implement that. And I think this teacher C-kit is a good model which can be immediately implemented as a subject specific benchmarking tool also. So करते हैं बस, अभी तो 8 की जगह 8:30 हो गई, so participants will say today it has been really long from tomorrow onwards, so this will be the feedback coming, time extend मत करो, so after 8 you are allowed to please leave अगर हम थोड़ा लंबा खींचते हैं, but those who want to hang on they can always do so.
So I'll be joining I'll be doing all the needful from 4th ma'am, because tomorrow we'll be leaving already at 7:30. So since I'll be back late, so yeah. Yes.
So okay, thank you so much and good night, and keep smiling.
Yes,
and
thank you so much,
inside your
ma'am.
classes so that you have a happy learning environment for your students. Thank you so much. Thank you. Bye.
Yes, ma'am.